Yo, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the WaxFusion Show. I got T-Break with me here today.
Howdy.
How's it going, man?
It's going great. How about you, Mike D?
Pretty good. I appreciate you coming on.
Pleasure to be here.
So we're going to talk a little bit about some WaxFusion updates, and then we'll ask T-Break what he's got going on. I was talking to T-Break before we jumped on. I got myself a new microphone and camera. Can you guys hear me and see me all right? Is everything good to go? I don't really know how many people are even here right now, but
it's tough to tell. I'm watching the stream. It still says it's waiting.
Yeah, you got to refresh it. That's what I had to do.
Okay, yeah. Looks like it's going now. Oh, yeah.
All right, well, I'm just going to assume my mic is good to go. Yeah, we could actually just...
I think it's good, dude.
3.75% megabyte. What is that? We can hear you. Cool. All right, man. Yeah, let me grab WaxFusion real quick, cover some quick updates, and let you chow down on that. Burger? What do you got there? Sandwich? Burger?
Yeah, it's a steak sandwich. You have to make a coffee. I had to make a lunch. I had to get a steak on the barbie.
That sounds good. Okay, yeah, that's a good topic to bring up real quick. 3.75% APR. Hold on one second. Let me pull this up. All right. Are you guys seeing my WaxFusion screen? Perfect. All right, so we got 5.376 million wax locked in about 3 weeks since launch. As Fenris just brought up, it says 3.78% APR right now on the staking tab. So it's been over 10% for like the entire time. What happened yesterday was there was a big unstake in progress, and I've been topping up the rewards out of my own pocket every day, like whenever it's necessary. I haven't had to do it all the time, but I always plan to, like if it's ever a couple percent short or whatever. Yesterday, I don't know what happened. I got caught up fixing a bug in some smart contract, and I just didn't get it done in time. So right now, it's a little bit lower, but these APRs reset every 24 hours. And if I take a look at WaxBlock real quick, you can see if I go to the contract tables here, I should put something on the front end for this to show like what rewards are going to look like later. But revenue awaiting distribution is 2,742 wax. It's been about 1,700 a day with the current amount that we have staked, and that's made it like anywhere between 10 to 12% APR. We're already at 2,700 right now. And I'm going to be adding some more later, and there's like 2 million wax sitting in the rental pool right now that could be rented at any moment. So whatever happens in the next 5 hours is only going to further increase this APR. Basically, it's already probably over 15% based on my math. So if you happen to be staked for like only since last night till now, and then you're like exiting the protocol, yeah, I guess that sucks. You had a bad day or whatever, but if you're staying for longer than a day, as soon as tomorrow kicks in, you're going to make out a higher average than the 8% over the course of 2 days anyway. So, I mean, it's really a non-issue at this point. Does that make sense? Or Fenris?
Makes sense to me. I'll tell you that much. I had a question, by the way, about the epochs and how CPU rentals work. So what if there's an overlap? Like, let's say someone staked 1 million wax CPU, and then or provided just a WaxFusion, and then a user came and they rented out a million CPU, but you can rent out 1 million for a month, right?
Well, there's the long-term rental where you could, but okay, that's using protocol-owned funds, not user funds.
Gotcha. Okay.
So the epochs themselves are 2 weeks long. They overlap by a week.
Yep.
And those are the user funds, and those are tied to like how long you can rent. So basically, you're only at absolute maximum. users' funds would never be tied up for more than 21 days. But since the funds are always kind of being cycled between epochs and split up, there's kind of like always something available every week. And you also
that makes
have
perfect sense.
yeah, and there's the instant redemption pool too.
That makes perfect sense. It was something that was they brought it up last Wednesday, I believe. Just on consumer breaks, Twitch TV, what is it? And Twitter stream thing.
Gotcha. I got to get him on here one of these days. That would be cool.
Oh yeah.
I thought it adds. Sorry, let me show the comments on the screen so people know what I'm responding to. I just thought it adds 8% APR from wax staked by default, so it should never go below that number. Yeah, theoretically, yes, but the thing is, we have to make sure that users are able to redeem their funds within a reasonable amount of time. So we don't just like lock it up and just keep it locked up in staking. What happens is funds are basically staked for 11 out of every 14 days. Then there's the 3-day unstake time so that your funds can come back to the contract in case you need to redeem them. And not only that, but also to make them available for CPU rentals again, which gives us a chance to boost APRs. Pretty much what you're seeing today, right? Yesterday, some of it was unstaked, the APR dropped, but the reason that we wanted it unstaked to come back is so that today could happen. We're already at over 15% APR later, and there's still 2 million wax sitting in the pool that could be rented. I mean, theoretically, if some whale comes in right now and rents all of it, we could be at freaking 150% APR by the time 8 p.m. comes around. So over time, on average, yes, it will add up to the 8%, but there might be like a certain day where it drops a little lower, only for it to go even higher the next day.
Yeah, I will say, generally speaking, you're generating just from staking rewards 1 wax for every 5,000 wax you have staked, just in the normal protocol. So that's all that really needs to be beat, in terms of being competitive. Like, because there's an opportunity cost here, right? Like, let's say unstaking it from the actual like APR generation, and putting it towards like CPU rentals. But it's like you don't have to rent out much of it to beat that, to outperform it,
Yeah, what we have right now is from well, since there's 3 epochs, some of the rewards that are waiting to be distributed later are from the other 2 epochs where all the wax is staked currently.
Right.
But like a good portion of it, probably close to 2,000 of the wax that's waiting to be distributed later, is from new rentals that came in today, and it was only 200,000 wax that got rented. There's 10 times that sitting in the pool right now. So like literally by the end of the day, it could theoretically be at 150 or 200% APR for 24 hours.
Absolutely. And I think that justifies the variability.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
As long as you're not trying to come in for like 12 hours and leave, I mean, this wouldn't be an issue. Just look at let me pull up WaxFusion. You guys seeing it on the screen yet? There's always like a lag on StreamYard here. Okay. This isn't really very large, so it's not that helpful, but LS wax price 1.0284 wax. We've been operating for about 3 weeks now. That's 2.84% already. So, I mean, I think that's probably all that really needs to be said, right? You're not making 2.84% from the system. That's 4 months from the system contract. Roughly 8.4% a year,
which is pretty good. And this is a very scalable thing too.
Absolutely. And if it comes down to it and we end up with so much wax in here that the demand for CPU goes down or whatever, we always have the option to adjust the cost, make it a little bit cheaper to rent CPU. And on top of that, you got to remember you also have the liquid token. So there's the whole other opportunities to take that capital and provide liquidity, earn fees and farming rewards, or whatever the case may be. Could you also explain the claimable rewards from redeeming LS wax to wax? How are they calculated? Okay, so I get this question a lot because people are like, how do I see how much wax I've earned from my LS wax? Basically, when you're holding LS wax in your wallet, if you want like the technical explanation here, when you first deposit wax into WaxFusion and you liquefy it for LS wax, there's a step in between. You first get S wax at a 1-to-1 ratio, the non-transferable token. So if you deposit 1,000 wax, you're getting 1,000 S wax. You don't really realize that on the front end because if you liquefied, you're getting LS wax at the end. So there's this 1,000 S wax that you have. It's backing your LS wax, however much you got. But at the contract level, that S wax remains there, and your wax remains there. When the wax generates rewards, every 5 minutes, our contract automatically claims those rewards from the wax that you have deposited. It buys more S wax, and it adds that to the backing of LS wax. So when you originally deposited 1,000 wax and got 1,000 S wax, that was backing your LS wax. As those rewards come in, let's say you earn 10 of them, you now have 1,010 S wax or 1,010 wax backing your LS wax. So the easiest way for you to track how much you've earned is to just look at the conversion rate, how much wax one LS wax is worth. I know it's a little bit not the most intuitive because you want to be able to see rewards accruing, but here's the problem with that. You can get LS wax anywhere. You could transfer it anywhere. So let's say you buy 100 on WaxFusion and then you buy 1,000 on Alcor for like double the price, and then you come back to WaxFusion and you're trying to look at how much you've earned. How am I supposed to tell you that? I don't know what you paid. I don't know what you sold. I don't know what you did after you left WaxFusion. There's no way I could track that. That's like expecting Binance to track your P&L after you withdraw your tokens to the blockchain and go and do stuff and then come back to Binance. You know, it's not really feasible. I probably made that a bit too technical. Do you have any questions you want to ask to clarify, or are you good with that?
Fair enough, dude. I usually just say magic. Trust
Yeah.
me, bro. Some of the formulas and terraformers, I'm not trying to explain any of that, you know.
S-Wax backing LS Wax is sorry, I keep forgetting to. S-Wax backing LS Wax is clear, but I'm specifically asking about the reward tab. So the reward tab is for S-Wax. If you're holding S-Wax, you will see a claimable balance in the rewards tab. Only for S-Wax, because with S-Wax, it's non-transferable. It sits in the contract. You have to claim the wax rewards yourself. So you would go to the reward tab, you'd see how much wax you've earned, and you'd be able to claim it. But with LS Wax, it auto compounds. There's nothing to claim. We do that for you. It's just the conversion rate of LS Wax that changes, which always goes up, by the way. It's never going to go down because for it to go down, it would mean we'd have to steal your capital. Like you deposit 1,000 wax and then we just take 100. That's the only way that your LS Wax value could go down. It's only going to go up because your initial deposit's always there, and then the rewards get claimed and added to it. There's no situation where we like send your wax out of the contract and just like take it away from you. Because I've had that question too. Like, can't the price go down? You know, on Alcor it can, but not on WaxFusion. So T-Break, what's up, man? What are you up to?
I'm just chilling, bro. Just chilling, coding away, losing my marbles.
Are you working on anything that you want to talk about, or?
Well, we got the whole terraformers auto validator thing. I'm building like the rest of the stuff that's going to support the ecosystem. So Yeah, it's like I have to basically build a bunch of custom one-of-one creator tools for my game. And so what this means is I have to create like a creator tool for um, like alien life forms. So this also means like the 3D code for like the how the animations and stuff are gonna look, right? So I gotta build it for life forms, gotta build it for abilities, right? How all the abilities of the projectiles are gonna shoot, animation distances, right? As well as the stats and how it's loaded to a smart contract. Gotta build a creator tool. I got some creator tools put together for like the NFTs and the drop tables for them, but I gotta get some more complex ones. So it's like I'm chipping away at that stuff, right? And then I got to build. I'm building a big passive skill tree on chain, and a couple other things as well.
So for those of us like me who are complete morons when it comes to gaming and don't really know what you're talking about, it sounds like you're essentially building a big game, but it's going to be at like a level where other people are going to be able to create in it and build their own stuff in
Well,
the game.
no,
Or
it's just so that I can create in it and build stuff in the game at this point in time. It's not that I'm against that necessarily. Let me see if I can share
oh
my
yeah,
screen.
are you able to? I think I might have to remove mine.
No, we can't share both. I think.
Fenris, why am I able to claim rewards when redeeming LS Wax, but not when holding it? You remember how I said there's that intermediate step? If you stake and liquefy in the middle, you don't really notice, but you're actually getting SOX first. That same intermediate step is there on the way out. So if you unliquefy and you're waiting 3 days to redeem or something, during those 3 days, what you actually did is you converted your LS wax into S wax. Now you're going to start having a balance to claim because you don't have the LS wax anymore.
Right. My screen should be up for you to.
Oh, sorry. All right. Think you should be up there now.
Yeah. Yeah, so for reference, right? We have these are just the traits that can roll on NFTs. Okay. This is defined as like I mean wax block. Let's see. Contract tables, trait drops. Like this is defined like this, you know, it's just walls and walls of integers. And this is just for the drop tables for them. And then we have the trait matrix that deciphers it, what the trait does, you know. So it's like these are crazy amounts of data. And so I have to make custom tools just so that I can know what I'm looking at, you know. I know like how to work my way around the matrices just because I built it. But it's like there's over 800 traits that can roll in the NFTs. And doing that by hand, especially like if I'm just trying to like JSON this by hand, it's like whew.
All right. I don't want to interrupt you. I don't know if you explained this a minute ago and I just didn't get it. But like, what's like a top level kind of explanation of what's happening? Like, what is the game? I guess. Like, what do people do?
Oh, yeah. Okay. We just hop into explorations.
I'm
All
an
right,
I'm an idiot, so I don't know any
no,
of this
bro,
stuff.
relax. You just don't know what this is. That's all. All right, so I'll just jump into the game because anyone can do this. You can hit the how to play. You can watch a video so you can get your bearings. All right, so it's a fully on-chain game. I'm using the Wax Cloud wallet, so it's auto signing for me. But basically, you enter space, right? You enter a solar system. These solar systems or these planets, they're procedurally generated and they're also on chain. Right? You have time travel. Okay, so we're in the year 0.95 billion. It's how much energy it takes to go to the black hole. That's where the default is. You go to the black hole, you go to the next level, right? Now, if you go to the future, you see you rotate, but so like the planet that you're on rotates, but so do all of the other planets, right? So all these planets, they have mass, they have velocity or radius, like it's a complete on-chain physics engine, really. And so you're trying to figure out, well, in what year should you travel to different places, you know, so you can interact with the events on it. if we hit planet here, we can go ahead and we can see that there's some events on this planet, right? It's a whole bunch of stuff, but some of the events are at the same point in time. Some of the events are in the future, right? So if you go to the past and the future, right, different stuff is going to exist. Now, right now, there's just one biome, right? There isn't too much visual variation, but it's the smart contract and just method of programming. It's all set up to be very scalable. So we're going to have different biomes at different points in time, different kinds of plants that are going to exist at different periods in time in different biomes. You know, it's a very, very high ceiling for the amount of permutations and combinations.
Is this
ask away? Yeah.
Sure. So is this like a single player, like exploration type of, like, what do you classify this as?
It's a new thing. It's nothing like this exists. This is like it's a one of one. It's a
like, what am I trying to do when I explore it? I'm just kind of screwing around and.
Yeah, so we have, this is the original event. Okay, so you click on one of these guys and it gives you a figure weight. Do you know what a figure weight is?
Not exactly. It's something to do with physics, I guess.
No, it's for like a let's have a look at figure weights. It looks like one of these. Okay, let's open this image. So it's in psychometrics, like reasoning stuff. Like, this is a very basic and fundamental construct, right? Where it's like you have like these weights on the left, these weights on the right. What does like the 5 ping equal? You know, this is kind of what it's modeled after. Instead, you have generative events, and you're basically reasoning, well, which is the best value, right? 58 energy for 6 fungibles and a 45% chance at 1 NFT, or 70 energy for 31% chance at 2 NFTs.
So you can basically win NFTs here. Is that what's going on?
Oh yeah, it's an event. Oh, you get fungibles and you get events. That's guaranteed. You're gonna get something for your time here, and this is an action, right? We can hit this. Store success. We got 6.5 fungibles, but no NFTs.
That's what was kind of confusing me, because I was like, what am I going for if I play the game? Like, not that there needs to be a prize, people played all them Atari and Nintendo games and shit. There was no prizes there.
Oh no, there's everything that you do. You're getting awarded for. You're really playing to earn. And yeah, so you time travel. You go, you pick up loot. And I said, like, this is a classic event. Like, this kind of event, the figure weight thing, it's existed for about, like, I want to say over a year, just in different slight variations, just for terraformers. And the dungeon is like it's like 10% chance you'll find a dungeon, and that's like the next generation of what I'm trying to build, And that is that every single one of these events is eventually going to be an external smart contract with a whole bunch of other stuff you can do. So let's go ahead and we'll travel in the future. Also, by the way, all these 3D models, they're pure code. The whole website, there's no 3D models in it. It's just squares and different positionings. It's pure algorithms, even the mushrooms.
That's so crazy, man. Yeah, T-Break's extremely like skilled and technical. This dude's breaking everybody's APIs all the time and stuff. I did just want to say real quick, include Noel's a dick, because he always comes in here and he throws these little, well, not in here, but just in general, he always likes to tease about wax items, but he never finishes it. And it's like so good. Like, I love using that Explorer, but it's like, it's a side project for him, I guess, and it's like never finished.
I just Googled wax items. Are these the wax items? Wait, after.
Have you never seen his block explorer?
I don't think so. Is it .com?
Waxitems.com, I think.
Oh yeah. Okay.
No, it's really good, man. There's so many good features to it. It's not completely finished. It has contracts now, he says. But it's nice. There's a lot of good things about it. I like on the name bids, you can actually,
is nice.
If you go to the name bids, you can actually see, like, at the contract level, on the blockchain. I don't know if you've ever looked at the name bid stuff, but it stores like the time that you voted, and then kind of or not voted, whatever it's called, bid. But it doesn't show like when you're going to win. So calculations need to happen for that. He actually has it right on there. Like, the winner will be at 5 minutes and 10 seconds from now. Yeah, right there.
Interesting. Very
I
nice.
haven't seen that. You can see all the children accounts for any like if you own T-Break and click on it, you'd be able to see like A.T-Break, B.T-Break, like anything that was created under it.
I see.
What is that name? Oh, I didn't see it. What was the name bid? Was there something funny up there?
I don't know. What was there?
I don't know.
It's T-Break created by EIL. This is my wallet. Why? Wait, what was the name bid?
I don't. That's what include null said. What is that name bid? LOL. Oh,
Yeah, yeah. This one, is it two I's? Is it two L's?
Oh, it has to be
That-
L's. You can't have capital S, right?
This is a crazy name bid, yo. I was, I was
They're
a bit
trying to
captivated by it. Yeah.
they're trying to scam somebody. Oh no, that's
That's
Pixel
fun.
Mini. Pixel Mini,
Yeah.
right?
That-
Oh, you know what? No, I know what it is. He loves the number 11. Pixel Mini. I had some like ridiculously stupid NFT that I made as like a test one. It was like a picture of my face, like an avatar, my logo that I have on Telegram and YouTube.
Mhm.
And he like reached out to me and he's like, I saw you got the number 11. Like, can I please just buy it off you or whatever, or trade it or whatever? And I was like, yeah, man, sure. I mean, it's worthless, but
Fair.
he's like, nah, I just love the number 11, man.
Fair enough. I would just say wax items, the only thing I'm just seeing here is that you need a recursive function for deciphering objects. But it's
Man.
like, of course, how many contracts have still multi-dimensional arrays?
Unbelievable. He's fired. I'm not paying him for wax items anymore.
Disc.
Unreal. No, man, I can't wait to see when this is actually like done someday. I don't really know what he plans on doing because I know he hints at other things that he's building, and I wonder. I always think like there's some overlap in wax items, and I kind of wonder if that's the goal, like to have all those things on one place. Like I think he mentioned something about like NFT, either explorers or markets or something.
Mm-hmm. All right, so right now, all of this stuff, we'll hop over to Waxblock because we can see the data about where we are right here. So under explorations, we've got records. All right, so these are the stats for our mercenary, like the character stats. Then we got our loadout, we got the seed, and then we have the, where is it? It's under areas. Right, so this it's not very nice, but it's like, yeah, you got the mass and oh, there you go. There's the board. There it is.
So all these giant blocks of code here are basically what we see on the screen, right? Like this is
deciphered and rendered. Yep.
Gotcha.
Exactly. And so this is like the core contract, and then little by little, I'm building more and more proxy contracts. So we'll go ahead and enter dungeon here, and it'll send us to the Shadow Realm. Now, of course, there's a lot more programming needs to happen here to make this really appealing. But we're getting there. We're getting it. The blockchain tech just barely works. Just gotta get a couple more features in. It'll be good.
Yeah, a couple more feet. Yeah, I'm sure it's going to be nice, but I can just tell because I know how you are because you remind me of me, like as a programmer. Like this is one of those things that's never ever going to be like done.
Oh no, it's a live service, man. This is
yeah, but it's really interesting.
Yeah, so these it generates the floors first, and then it connects them, the rooms and stuff. So even the pathing is on chain and validated. You know, the game's really bot proof, and there's no advantage to having multiple wallets. Getting this pathing algorithm and making sure that it's somewhat reasonable. Oof.
So is this currently like public and playable by other people, or?
Oh, of course. Oh yeah, you can play right now. Yeah, and so the life forms themselves, they got a whole bunch of stats. They each get a trait matrix. They got like their base stats, and then each of them roll traits based on their rarity, their Kardashev, their classification. We got common facehuggers, uncommon toxic slime. You can see the Kardashev scale. and that's like, do you know where the Kardashev scale is?
I don't, but before you explain, could you actually drop a link to this, please?
Sure, yeah. You'll toss it down in.
Kardashev scale. No, I don't know what that is.
Okay. So the Kardashev scale it's a proposed scale of, like, basically the theory is that the capacity of a civilization is dictated by its source of energy, right? So if we had like infinite energy, we could have infinite food. Like we don't have, like electric vehicles, it could all just be free. You know what I mean? Like a lot of things in our world, it's limited by our capacity to generate energy, right? And so we're like, I think Earth is like a 0.72. So we're just about reaching the type 1 civilization, access all the energy available on its planet, store for consumption, right? So we're almost there. We're almost at just the scale of 1. But scale 2 is using like all this energy from our sun. So we're not even remotely close to scale 2. And the thing is, it's logarithmic scale, right? So scale 3, it's all the energy by its galaxy. That's a lot, right? Considering one galaxy might have billions of stars or solar systems. And so that's kind of what's incorporated within the game, right? You have energy. The more energy you have, the higher your Kardashev scale, and you're encountering life forms that might be pretty advanced.
This is all like way over my head, but it seems very cool. I got to test this out. I don't really play games a lot, but I need to learn more about like what's actually happening on the game side of Wax and play around with this stuff. So do I need anything to start, like certain NFTs or anything like that?
You don't need anything. As long as you have CPU and a little bit of RAM, you should be good to go, dude. It devours CPU, I will say. Not because like each action's only around like 400, 500 nanoseconds, but you're pushing like hundreds if not thousands of transactions a day. I've seen the other day, I saw someone, they explored 2,700 times in a 24-hour period. Like people are some players are actively grinding this game out for 10 to 12 hours a day. So it adds up. And if you want to play that much, you do need like 20K Wax.
Hey, if you want to buy T-Break's game, you can rent Wax on WaxFusion for cheap. T-Break.
Yeah.
What do you mean there are 4 types of civilization? Type 1 is civilization that harvests all energy from planet. Type 2 can harvest the whole sun. Type 3 can harvest energy from a whole galaxy.
So this is the Kardashev scale on Wikipedia. This was someone's like I don't know, someone's theory about what the universe about like classifying unknown civilizations in the universe. Like it's not like a civilization like the Aztecs. Like this is like civilizations like, I don't know, in space that we haven't encountered yet. Aliens, right? If we were to encounter such things, such beings, right? This is how this guy, I don't know how to pronounce his name, but he's a Russian dude. And yeah, this is his scale. This is how he's a Soviet astronomer. And this is how it's a hypothetical scale.
Include No wants to know if you could save RAM by serializing the data like Atomic Assets does.
You can save RAM, but then your CPU costs go up. And the thing is, RAM is generally speaking a non sequitur because, well, it's just storing like 5 to 10 kilobytes. That's not much. That's like 1 to 2 wax. Whereas if you want to interact with that data, oh well, now you need thousands of wax just to mess with it, right? So CPU optimizations are far more important for game development than RAM optimizations, within reason, right? Like if you're storing like 50 kilobytes of RAM, which happens, you have to make sure that it's happening in an efficient format. It's just a trade-off, right? You win some here, you lose some there. There is no absolute answer.
That's always the difficult part of building a new protocol. We had a lot of issues like that with WaxFusion too. It's like, do you want to save on RAM here or CPU here? Or like, do you want to index it this way and make it so this action costs more, but then, you know, doing this also costs way more for everybody. It's I would say that's probably the most time consuming part, is actually planning the design properly. If you're somebody who actually plans the design properly. Um, I would like to throw a curveball at you, unless you have something else you want
No,
to.
go ahead. Go ahead.
You ran for OIG a few
Mhm.
months back. How did you find that process?
I thought it was pretty fun. I mean,
Would you do it again? Did you?
yeah, it was the best 100 wax I've ever spent.
That's interesting to hear. I'm kind of glad to hear that. I feel like most people don't say that, but also most people are probably a bit unreasonable when it comes to that. Do you have any input or feedback? Like, what would you change about how it works, or are you like starting to think about what you would want to do next time if you ran again?
I'm not thinking about it too much. Like how to be more competitive and like in that regard and like what win more votes. I mean, I'm just happy to be here, really. And then like being able to now, because it's like, I think traditionally people might look at like you come into a position like that, and well, now you can do the things that you want to do. But it's like I can do the things I want to do right now. You know, I can advocate for upgrades to the chain right now. I can be a part of the discussion right now. I don't need to be part of the OIG, you know, to be able to do those things. And it's like it's a position that comes with responsibilities, like any other job. I think I can meet those responsibilities adequately, and I'm able to do what I want to right now, which is building my project and building up Wax. So
Yeah, I would say that I think that's probably the case for most people who are building stuff on Wax.
mm,
You can pretty much do most of the stuff you want to do without being in there. I think you would have to have a very vested interest in very specific topics for you to feel like you need to be in there to do certain things,
absolutely.
which is kind of the case for me, but I don't think I'd really want to be in there anyway. Maybe, I mean, I might consider it in the future, but like, for instance, the voting contract for the election and stuff like that, I have a vested interest in that now with the liquid stake tokens, because now I could see a bank run happening if we can't submit votes, like weighted votes on people's behalf. And
Ooh, I
I've
see.
been hearing forever that that contract's going to get updated. And technically, I could
Yeah.
submit issues on GitHub now, like I did weeks ago. But like, I feel like that's one of those things where, unless I'm in there, I'm kind of just an outsider who's going to get told, like, yeah, we're working on it. Like, leave us alone, you know?
Mhm.
I don't mean that in any sort of like disrespectful way to the IGs. I think they do a lot, and they do a pretty good job.
I hear you,
So,
man. I okay. I'll write that down. Honestly, um, I'll write that down because that's a real concern, right? If your protocol could just like right before it, everyone just unstake so they can vote. You know, like obviously that's not something you want to be worrying about. So
yeah, and there's some challenges to that with the way that the system contract is designed. So I understand it's not easy. I did submit an issue on GitHub on the RFP where you have atomic asset stuff there. I
mhm.
submitted one about the election voting contract. I'd be curious to hear your thoughts if you ever get a chance to look at that.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. Yeah,
I'd re-
I'll investigate it after the stream. I'm almost done the condensed version of the Atomic API upgrade. Um, so once I get that done, then I will investigate this issue more closely.
Appreciate that. I'd rather be a BP than an IG, says include no. I would agree with you like 99% of the time. It's just, you can be your own boss, basically. You can profit off your stuff. And I mean, there's a lot more freedom to being a BP. Like, if I decide I want to take a couple months off, I'll probably lose some ranks, but I have the freedom to do that if I want, whereas the IGs don't exactly have that freedom. They got to do their evaluations and whatever else they need to do.
Mhm.
But at the same time, you could make the argument that it is also nice to pretty much have a monopoly on your position for 18 months and not have to compete for it once you're in, and basically get the same money as the BPs without having to pay for servers. So
Mhm.
I'd say there's some upside there too. But when the 18 months is up, then you're kind of starting from scratch, because what if you don't get voted back in?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's also like, I mean, there were talks, I think, even at the last governance election, where it's like, well, maybe there should be more positions, and it's like, well, how scalable is this in the future if more and more like great people come along, and it's like, well, why would we want to let anyone go? You know, why would anyone? Why should anyone have to dance to the job? That was like the first thing I said.
Yeah, I could see the argument for more BPs. I actually did also make that argument. I wasn't like the first one to make it. I just was kind of on board with it, is what I mean. But I think at this point, I have my eye on certain issues that I view as the most important, and
Mm.
stuff related to like IGs and more governance isn't really one of them right now. I've been focusing a lot on just trying to attract capital to the chain and create DeFi opportunities, get us exposure on DeFi Llama and CoinGecko and CoinMarketCap and places like that. Those are the most important things to me at this point, because I don't think anything matters on chain if nobody knows about us off chain.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And at the end of the day, I mean, it's a centralized chain, and unless the Wax team's handing over the EOSIO or whatever it is, the EOSIO key to the block producers or something like that, then
Mm-hmm.
How much effort would you really want to put into decentralizing something that at the end of the day isn't really decentralized anyway?
And to be fair, I feel like only certain chains need to be decentralized. Like I think Bitcoin makes sense for it to be decentralized because there's simply such a high magnitude of money in there, that like that shouldn't, like, the whole purpose of it is that no one entity can dictate what happens.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with the Wax model, to be honest. I mean, there's certain things I'd like
Yeah.
to see improved, but I like that it's fair, that there's a scoring system. Like, I know, people out there will say that it's unfair and you got to be buddy buddy with the IGs and the Wax team to be a VP. I'm not hearing that, because I came from nothing. I showed up here 2.5 years ago and I didn't even know how to code. I was making videos, like reviews of crypto projects on YouTube, like hoping one day maybe someone like the Wax team would notice me and retweet something and I'd get like exposure.
Hmm.
And then I added value to the chain over time, and I got to rank 4 right now, and I would assume I probably will climb the ranks pretty soon. So you can't tell me that you got to be buddy buddy with anybody. I worked my way up, and anybody else can do the same thing.
Absolutely. And fundamentally, it's like at the end of the day, like the chain might be decentralized, but how decentralized are you, Mike D? Like you're a person. You can't have every person is centralized. Right? You can't have a decentralized person. And companies are made of people. Like, so, I think it's kind of like an illusion in the end. The whole decentralization clause.
We're also not big enough. Like, our market
Yeah.
cap, I haven't looked lately, but what are we, like 150 million market cap? I mean,
Well, don't look today. I'll say that.
yeah. I mean, but like every project, I know there are exceptions, but you really can't start off decentralized. Like, you have to have somebody spearheading things, making decisions, and not
Absolutely.
letting other people run everything. Get to a certain level, and then when it's worth it, when there's enough value there, then you decentralize if you want to. But like doing it from day one, I've always said this about Wax Style, like we have a DAO, people could vote, but like I'm not going to put everything to a vote. People are just going to tell me I have to work for free and give everything away. And like, what am I? Yeah, because you bought $50 worth of tokens, like I should spend the rest of my life doing, work for free. I have to make these decisions right now. And if we ever grow large enough, then we'll talk more about more decentralization. But
Absolutely. And it's like, I feel like decentralization shouldn't even be a topic until like it's over $1 billion of value, you know? Because it's like otherwise, like the strength you get from decentralizing something is that it becomes very resilient to change, and it becomes very resilient to any bad actors trying to prey on the system, and it becomes very resilient to bad leadership. But until you reach like that $1 billion in value, like there's just not enough gained from the like truly pushing for like a true decentralized system, because it slows everything down so much. That's like the big consequence of it. It's a system that's resilient to change is now it's just very slow. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, like the WaxFusion contract is a small example of that, like a microcosm. If I want to make a change to that, I have to make the changes myself and push the code updates, have them reviewed, and then create a multi-sig after asking if it's okay to create the multi-sig and waiting
Absolutely.
to hear back, and then create it, waiting for it to get signed. And it's like, you know what I mean? Imagine that on a whole chain-wide level.
Oh, yeah.
Not to mention, you need very wide token distribution in order to really.
And that's a whole other can of worms, right? Which is it's very difficult to get a fair token distribution. It's very difficult because in one hand it's like, I mean, I've got a play to earn game, right? So I can just reward people tokens based on, well, how many explorations have you done, right? But then it's like, well, what if you can play all day but you don't have like $100,000? You don't have $10,000 to spend on the game, And so it's like this balance of awarding people who were there since day one, the Genesis holders, awarding people who are grinding and putting in the time, awarding people who have lots of money. Everyone's bringing something, a different sort of value as an investor, as a consumer, and trying to reward all of them fairly. It's by far one of the most challenging things that I go through as a game developer on Wax.
Yeah, man, I can imagine. And also, like if you look at EOS, for example, which is, I don't really know enough about it to say how decentralized it is, but in terms of like the block producer thing, right? Voting for who's in the top 21, the token holders vote. The whole reason that we have people building stuff on Wax right now and incentivized to build things on Wax is because it's not decentralized, and we have the IGs using a scoring criteria to incentivize value add. On a chain where all the small people and everybody holding tokens decides who's in the top 21, what you get is people voting for free shit and saying, I'll vote for you if you give me, 95% of everything that you earn as a block producer. And then it's like, okay, that's cool. Maybe somebody's a block producer and they still make something, a few $100 or a couple $1,000, but they have zero incentive to stick around and build like real big projects. So who's building them then?
Absolutely. And it's like the way that EOS is set up now with the extraordinary RAM cost as well. It's like a blockchain that is now not serving anyone. Like it's unusable. You know what I mean? It's just too expensive. And it's like, well, if you're going to use an expensive blockchain, why would you choose EOS?
Yeah, I don't want to go too deep down.
Me neither. That's all I'm going to say.
Oh, man. Fenris wants to know, where do you draw your inspirations from when you work on rewarding your game users fairly?
Oh, okay. I think, hold on, give me a second. I gotta try to digest this question. Draw inspirations from when you work on rewarding your game users fairly. So you're asking how I balance the game? Is that the question?
I think he's kind of asking, like, did you get the reward model from, like, did you look at anything else and decide, oh, like this project does it pretty fair, I'm going to kind of take some thoughts from there and apply it to my game, like anything like that? Or
so I personally believe every project goes through its own very unique things that kind of have to be considered, and like you can have stuff in theory, like philosophies to follow and whatnot, but a lot of it is kind of like you gotta adapt to the situation. So Terraformers had the vast majority of its volume during this period right here, right? There was a lot of money invested, and so for these assets, I was like, okay, I want to make sure that these assets are compensated, and they will remain valuable like indefinitely, because this is where everyone bankrolled the project. Now, as far as the modern day, goings of the game, a lot of it is like modeled after, I want to say like traditional, well, not really even traditional, but just like RPG games, right? We can go ahead and let's. There's a bug here. I gotta fix that bug pronto. You can go ahead and exit this exploration, and I'll show you like the rewards. Go ahead and exit the dungeon.
TC's in the building. What's up, TC?
Fenris Butcher, I saw you also. You asked where can I follow you? You can just follow the Discord. That's pretty much where I give out like all the news about what I'm developing for the most part.
I did want to actually touch on what Include Null said here.
Mhm.
Wax has like 20 plus of each API publicly available. If you look at any other Antelope chain, you're lucky to find one stable one. And I can't find the other comment. Most other chains, everyone is using one of very few public providers like Infura. So I actually had a question about that for, I guess, you and Include Null and whoever else really wants to touch on it. But I've been mentioning recently that I think it's kind of one of our barriers to getting exposure on other platforms outside of Wax, because most of those people depend on places like Infura, and they only want to work with the projects that are integrated in places like Infura. So let's just say, for example, that we actually got integrated in Infura and they had, I don't know, the chain API and Atomic Assets and Hyperion or something, and it was like totally dependable. That makes current block producer setup a little bit redundant and almost like unnecessary. I would wonder if you would think that's a good thing or a bad thing. And also, I kind of had the thought of like, if one of the issues with getting on a place like Infura is that there's a high buy-in price of, let's call it $250,000 or something, being that block producers spend probably, I don't know, maybe let's say $1,000 a month or more on those three that I just mentioned, and you have 30, however many, over the course of a year, you would actually save money paying the $250K to Infura if you cut every block producer's pay by, let's say, $1,000 and didn't require those APIs. Do you think that would be a terrible decision or something that's like worth thinking about?
I don't think it's. The thing is, so just as a topic, I was talking with Raikkonen about this earlier today. There are some requirements that are currently expected of block producers that are kind of redundant, and it's like, well, how many of these do we actually even need? You know what I mean? And so one example of this is like the Hyperion full history nodes. There's a lot of those being run, and 99% of requests to those APIs, those nodes, are just to see if a transaction has been confirmed and if it's irreversible. Over 99% of it, right? So it's something that's like, it's an interesting approach to just basically like remove that responsibility from block producers and set it up with Infura instead. But I think it is something that we'll need to have continuous discussions about. The last thing we want to do is try to find some reason to justify paying the block producers less. I'll tell you that much.
Absolutely. But if the less payments scale down exactly with like what they're spending on those servers, to the point where like paying the Infura cost would actually make the Wax blockchain or Wax team or however you want to look at the funding source for guild pay, in the first year, it could actually make money for them. And then after that, I don't know if Infura charges like a monthly or yearly fee or whatever for support, but assuming they didn't and it was just like a huge upfront cost, every year after that, you'd be saving like $250,000, $500,000 by lowering those expectations.
It's an interesting idea. Oh, we'll definitely investigate it. I'll definitely investigate it. I'll mention it when I get the chance.
I think it would be amazing to have Wax APIs. Oh, yeah. Leap has transaction status checking built in now. OIG should require. Yeah, isn't what is that? Send transaction 2 or something? Is that what that is? Or is that just no? That's the one where you make sure it went through. Are you talking about something else? Because I know there's an endpoint to send transactions that will like automatically make sure it goes through and keep retrying, rather than you having to like do some check and then redo it. Get transaction status. Got it.
Fenris, you're asking they're grinders, whales, early investors, etc., and his work is to balance rewards fairly. So I'm wondering if he was analyzing other projects. As far as other projects go at this point in time, I'm not really designing terraformers after the other models that I've seen. I'm trying to kind of build an independent model here. So this is you get rewarded. Like I just did a run. We got a bunch of fungible tokens, right? So we got a whole bunch of tokens here. We got 2 NFTs, 2,400 wealth, and 1.31 research, right? So we got a whole bunch of juice here. This you can play the game as much as you like, and you can keep on gathering as many rewards as you want. All of these elements, there's no max supply on them, right? You can find as many as you like, and it's a unique custom token contract, and they're tradable, right? So we got our elements right here. We can go ahead and let's wrap our exalted orbs. We go to wax on edge. You can swap them here. So let's see.
So would it be fair to say that you didn't necessarily like copy a project, but you've been around the block long enough to know what works and what doesn't? And
even that would be a pretty bold way of putting it, because I don't know if this is going to work out, but I mean I'm willing to give it a shot, and I've done a good bit of research and good bit of game theory solving to make sure that it's it's not going to be catastrophic, but there is like a potential upside here, you know. So at least this part of the game, it's like you can play as much as you want. It's bot proof. It's bot proof, and like this is like if you're a grinder, right? You really want to apply yourself, you're going to get rewarded here big time. If you're whaling, you have more passive incomes, right? You've got like all the lands and stuff, right? It looks like these ultra earthen packs are all minted out. But yeah, most of the land packs they're getting pretty close to being all minted out. And once they're done, then they're done, and that becomes your passive income stream, right? So you can just bulk claim your NFTs. Yeah, get some tokens every once in a while. It's every 30 days, you know, very casual, very passive. Again, it's bot proof. You don't have to worry about being having an edge with programming. Won't necessarily give you an edge in this game. It'll help you understand what's happening maybe a bit better, but like I've tried to make it as fair to someone without a technical background as possible, because you have, and this is something that's not talked about at all in the Web3 demographic, you have people who are on one side are like they just have an iPhone, or they just have like an Android, you know, a Huobi smartphone, and all they know how to do is maybe like get like a wallet, click a couple buttons, that's about it, you know. And then on the other end you have people with computers, so that those two right there, it's like you don't stand as a mobile user, it's very tough to stand a chance against someone with a computer. And then you have people who know how to use a computer well, they know how to program, right? Even people who know how to use a computer don't stand a chance against those people, right? So there's a lot of, it's a very wide skill gap in the demographic, and I try to make it so that like, well, if just because you know how to program, you know how to use a computer, doesn't mean you're going to end up with like 80% of all the wealth in the game, which is what you see happen in a lot of games, because they get botted, because things get automated, right? While you're sleeping, they're still making money, you know. So try to make the game very relaxed in the sense that you don't have to, you'll stand a chance, I'll say that much. Yeah, you got your NFTs and all that.
Leon said, I love Blockspin Gaming. Just want a Funko Batman pack. Altcoins other than Wax in game equals instant fail, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, we'll see. I mean, every single one of these tokens, they are for a particular functionality. So they don't exist for the sake of existing or speculating. Hold on, I'm just seeing another question by Fenris. Most of Wax projects struggle with late-stage inflation, which drives the value of assets, coins to zero. Do you have anything in-game to prevent it? Okay, so this is the so I'll tell you a bit about their use cases, because the use cases in themselves are kind of unique. So we go to the workshop, we hit Metacraft. Let's have a look at the NFTs, right? So we can have a look at yeah, let's try this guy here.
Wapaka's in the house. What's up, Wapaka?
Hey, what's up, Alpaca? Yeah, well, let's hit hold here. Close this, bring it back up. All right, so meta crafting. So I got some chaos orbs, right? That was one of the several orbs that I got earlier. The thing about all of these orbs, all of these elements, these tokens, is that there's no ceiling to how much you can spend. You can just keep spending it all day. You know, traditionally, you get some tokens. Well, you're spending it to get something absolute, right? I'm going to spend 1,000 tokens, going to get one NFT, for example. In this case, though, you spend tokens and it rolls traits on your NFT. If I hit T, we have the traits view here. Yeah, and so you can just keep on spinning the wheel until you get something nice. So we got like some magic find here, some increased plasma. I've heard sometimes people spend literally hours just spinning this wheel. Right. And it's like, again, there's 800 traits that can roll on your NFTs. Getting perfect items is impossible. It's literally impossible. Getting the highest rarity has yet to be found, and there's currently over. Let's go ahead and have a look here. Let's see how many NFTs have been minted. Oh.
Hey, and I'm curious if you're referring to the token or the project.
Tracker. So yeah, we're at 235,000 NFTs minted in the past 3 months. And we still have yet to see the highest rarity. It still hasn't been found yet. So it's an extraordinarily, like almost impossibly high ceiling, that it's just like the game will. I mean, the tokenomics are designed to scale, like for over 100 years, right? Even if I die, like this game will be playable. People will be able to spin up an instance of the Matrix, jump into an exploration, find some loot. You know. I really did try to make it as scalable as possible.
So, in terms of the token, you're saying that people can spin the wheel and they win tokens, or is it just NFTs?
Oh no, they're crafting. So this is so what we're doing here. We got some chaos orbs. These chaos orbs, they reroll all traits except implicits, quality, and domain. Right, and you can see these traits are being rerolled here.
Are the I'm trying to find the right terminology. I'm obviously not big into games. The unique good items or whatever, is it like work to get them? Is it all luck? Are they capped at a certain supply?
No, it's all luck, dude. It's all luck. It's a very flexible game. There is no necessarily best item. That's an illusion, right? The perfect item doesn't exist. It's whatever you just gotta work with, whatever you get. You know, you might find like the different bases. Here, we can bring.
Yes, TC. This is a Wax game. This is built by T-Break here. I think he posted a link to it somewhere.
Yeah.
In the chat, or did you post it in our private one? Where is it?
I did post it in the chat here. I can. There you go. So yeah, over here we've got like a common ring, we've got a common helmet and a common helmet, but this one's level 22, this one's level 20, right? So maybe this one's a bit better, but then this one's got a 76 and 81. This is a 79 and a 1. So that's the quality, that's the domain, right? So there's lots of ways for you to improve your items, lots of ways to make progress. And that's kind of like a common theme of the project. You have, I call it hyper incrementalism, where you have a whole bunch of little bonuses that you're trying to optimize for. The same way you might be coding a project, right? Just trying to get it more and more performative. That's just the experience that's kind of given to users.
Can you quickly say the name of the URL out loud, because I don't see it in the chat?
Oh, tfmw.gg.
Cool.
Here,
Cool.
I can toss in here as well.
TFMW, right?
Yep. Yeah, terraformers, many worlds.
Got it. Sorry, I just saw TC was asking for it.
All good. But yeah, it's a game that you can spend a lot of time on it, and you're still gonna have more stuff to do. There's still gonna be more loot to find. Better NFT. There's always gonna be a way to improve what you've got.
Aeon is Kinyo on Twitch, by the way. Atomic Kings. Yeah, I think I spoke to you in the past, right? Like when I first launched WaxDAO, Aeon.
Yeah, so Chaos Orbs, they reroll the traits, and then Exalted Orbs, they add a single trait. They're a bit more rare. Void Orbs, they remove a single trait. Then we got Prisma, it changes the socket types, right? So we have Rune and Jewel here. Let's use some Hollow Orbs. Yeah, rerolls the amount of socket slots. We got Rune and a Jewel. Now we got any and a Rune. That's huge, actually. Getting the any type is huge.
T-Break went over this before you got in here, Aeon. Everything is on chain. It's actually really interesting. There's like tables full of these crazy objects of just all these different characters, and everything you see in the game, like all the images and what I guess not the NFTs, but
the images aren't, but all the NFTs are on chain. Everything's on chain.
Yeah, but like all the building blocks of the game, when you go onto the map, like everything is on the blockchain.
Yeah, you only need a brown. I'd say, like, generally speaking, so you cover the RAM cost of minting NFTs. The user does. So as long as and it's about 400 bytes per NFT. So if you want your RAM back, you can't just burn your NFTs at any time, and it's all freed up. The game itself, though, you only need, I'd say, in total, maybe like 15 kilobytes of RAM, and you're chilling, right? But the RAM for NFTs, like, that adds up, right? Because you can find like 100, 200, 300 NFTs in one session in like 40 minutes if you get pretty far. And so next thing you know, you're minting like 20, 30 kilobytes of RAM worth of NFTs.
So here's a question. I know a while back you were working on your own NFT standard. I don't know if you ever launched it. Are these Atomic Assets NFTs, or are these on your standard?
These are on my standard. They're on equip.tfmw. I'm not sure if you can read it just because the font might be a little small. But yeah, this equip.tfmw, that's the contract. That's what we're looking at here.
So you have like an in-game marketplace, or do people not buy and sell them? Or
yeah, there is no native support for trading yet, marketplace support for it yet. But soon, there will also be support for just wrapping it into an Atomic Asset NFT. But still figuring out the best way to approach that. Just because it's like, this is a magnitude of data that you cannot really fit this with an Atomic Asset, at least with like the rigid schema structure that's been set up. That's the one major critique I have of Atomic Assets. It's just the schema, the whole schema thing. It makes the standard very, very. It just makes it too rigid, not flexible enough to do what you want with it.
Yeah, I get a lot of questions from people about, can they write contracts to do certain things, and it's like, you can do it on Atomic Assets, or you can do it on your own contract. But at the end of the day, like most of the stuff that people want to do that's very custom, it's like the problem isn't at the contract level. The problem is getting support for it on front ends. Stuff like changing images, immutable data. It's like, yeah, you can create a new attribute that holds the image, and it's mutable, and it changes all the time. Your problem is that when people go to Atomic Asset or Atomic Hub or NFT Hive or wherever else, like, they're not going to see the changing image because they're caching stuff, and they're probably not even looking at that trait that you want to use for the image in the first place. So if you're using your own front end for stuff and you're going to build your own, there's a lot of more complex and creative things that you can do.
Absolutely. Yeah. There's no and if you're building the assets tearing from the ground up, it's like there's no limit at all. You know.
Include no wants to know what happens to NFT RAM when they are transferred.
The person that transfers it pays. But then if that NFT is interacted with, like if you metacraft, then the new owner pays for that RAM.
Gotcha. So basically, whoever owns the NFT pays for it, with the exception of you can't charge them when they first receive it.
Exactly. Yeah. But this is how all the data is stored, right? You have asset ID, you have a secondary index with the owner field, and so this creates a UINT128T for creating a composite index. That way you can look up all the assets owned by one wallet in one go. And then you have your asset info, and you have your socketables. Yeah, a whole bunch of multi-dimensional arrays. The use field is for letting a contract know if it's under use in certain areas. That ways it makes the API management so much smoother, because now you can just tell if if a user like owns the asset, but it's just like in use within the game contract. You don't want other game contracts or other contracts in general interacting with it like that.
So you have built a custom API for this as well, or?
No, there's no API, not yet. It's all through the front end, actually, the whole thing.
Gotcha. That's awesome,
Yeah.
though.
Yeah.
T-Break wants to, oh, not T, sorry. TC wants to know what's the best thing to buy to start playing.
You don't need to buy anything to start playing, bro. You don't need anything. If you want, you can grab a market. You got mercenaries. These guys, they will help the performance in game, just your character, and they'll have access to the passive skill tree that's coming in a few weeks. But other than that, like it is free to play. Like you can just dive in. You don't need anything. Yeah, all you have to do is just you just go to the website, you log in here, you hit here, you go to explorations, and you hit explore. That's it.
So you can start with nothing. If you do start with something, what's the benefit? You basically have like leveled up slightly or something.
Yeah, let's go ahead and jump out of this run. So right now, all of the different mercenary NFTs, they got different classes, different mining powers, different magic find. It's not one-to-one though. It is kind of scaled a bit differently. And this is kind of what the stuff that I was talking about during some of the IG meetings about how you have assets with data on them is not necessarily outdated, but it's not reflective of how they're treated within the game. And so I will say, before you pull the trigger on buying anything, just ask as many questions as you like. Come in the Discord if you want to know what the differences are.
I assume that the Discord is linked on the website.
Or? Yeah, it is. Yeah. You can check out the Discord right here. Yeah. That's where all the chatting happens about the project. Just wondering, airdrops in the future for holding anything in particular? If not, that's cool. Just one question I like asking projects. So not really. Generally speaking, I'm not a huge fan of airdrops, because I don't want to have a build up and then a release. I won't have based on like an arbitrary date, for an arbitrary reason. I would much rather have a consistent, high quality experience that's available to you at any time, and you're able to just enjoy it without having to worry about a time crunch, without having to worry about, I guess I have to grind for the next 16 hours if I want this airdrop. Like, I don't want anyone to be in that position,
AM wanted to know if, I guess your asset contract is separate from the game contract, right?
It is, yeah.
Do they have to put their NFTs into the game, or is it all non-custodial?
It's everything in this project is non-custodial. Yeah, that's why you have this use field. It's used for both. Like it tells the contract that it's within the game contract.
And when you said that market features are not enabled yet, you're referring more to like buying and selling marketplace contract and front end, or Is
Yes.
transferability enabled at the contract level right now?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. You can transfer just fine. Yeah, yeah. You go explorations, manage loadouts, go into workshop. Let's go ahead and we can choose this NFT. There's a socketing menu, right? You can put other NFTs into it. It doesn't look like, I don't think I have any, but yeah, you can transfer. You just put in a wallet address. I want to transfer this guy. You send it away. Yeah, so it's not like I'm trying to restrict people being able to do what they want with their NFTs. It's more so that this asset standard has been in development for quite some time, and for game balance, for all kinds of things, there have been, I think, at least 3 major revisions. And so that means that the stats and traits that you have in your NFTs today may not be what you'll have in the future. They'll be slightly adjusted, or there'll be some features added, some features removed. And so I just, while it's in such a almost in its infancy, I didn't want people to be in a position where they're buying and selling assets that are subject to high volatility, in that they might change. And that is something that I will say about the NFTs under Terraformers. It's like, you own them, and I'll respect that ownership. Whatever rarities they rolled, whatever rare traits they rolled, I respect those as well. But for game design and for game balance and stuff like that, I reserve the right to make sure it's a fair and fun experience for everyone. And so that means that I gotta dial back a number here, I gotta dial up a number there, right? You're putting that trust in me. But like, your assets are yours, and you ultimately can do what you want with them. But yeah, until the game gets a bit more solidified, there won't be native support in the marketplace just yet.
Would you say you would call it like a beta, early alpha type of deal right now, or
Yes, absolutely.
version 0.0 point something?
Something like that. Yeah, something like that.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I mean, it's playable. You can have fun with it. It's a unique blockchain experience, to say the least. I think it kind of stands out amongst other games, just because you can play it all day. You're not just simply time locked, where it's like, oh, I guess I've done my one exploration for today. It's like, no, you can just jump in as much as you like, whenever you want to. And so these are what the different mercenaries do. You get different stats, you got different weapons that come with them. But eventually we're gonna have another weapons contract, like a NFT contract just for the weapons. And it's gonna do some more unique stuff.
How many contracts do you have so far for this?
The whole project?
Yeah.
Like 10, I think.
Yeah. I'm always curious, because I have like ridiculous amount of contracts for all my different stuff. And then sometimes you want to launch a new version, and it's like, I don't want to break any of the existing stuff by updating this contract. So then you like leave that one there and have a migration process, but then also have a version 2 contract. And it's like, it gets out of control sometimes. Luckily, it's not that expensive in terms of RAM, though.
Oh yeah, it's so affordable for blockchain development. It's unbelievable. But yeah, contract migrations are like top 10 like shittiest days of my life.
Yeah, absolutely. At least like if it's a passion project type of deal, it's not as huge of an issue. But if it's meant to be like a widely used protocol, like atomic assets, for example, that's, you can't really do much. There's only, every change that you make, you have to actually consider like a quote unquote real developer. Like, this has to be rolled out in this fashion. The APIs, the indexers, everything needs to be adjusted. This is considered a breaking change, and it's a lot. It's like months. You have to write tests for everything.
You have to anticipate everything, and then the day comes, and it's almost just like dread, just pure anxiety. Like, if one thing breaks, like everything's going to ashes.
Yes, God forbid I missed something, or I didn't realize that I changed this table and now it's broken. Or
exactly, or like that bug that you were helping me figure out what was going on with the combat contract, the dungeons contract, and it's like, that was literally like one integer, in a wall of integers, and it's like that little bug literally like led to the discovery of a whole new issue, which is that if you can place corrupted data into a contract table and then you can't even access it, it just breaks. The smart contract doesn't realize like, oh, this is just mangled data. I can't retrieve it.
Yeah, that's that one had me stumped. I had no idea.
Yeah, that was
ChatGPT didn't find it either.
yeah. Oh yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
for upgrading items, is it modifying NFTs or is it burning for a new one?
It is modifying NFTs. Yeah. Are they dynamic NFTs or regular? I should say. Personally, I'm in love with dynamic. Well, it's like the entire NFT, like the way it stores data is you have, actually, let's have a look at wax items. Maybe wax items can show this nicely.
Object. Who even developed this thing?
Object.
Guy must be a rookie.
Go on now. Tragic.
Let's change his name to include object. I'm just messing with the dude's like 1,000 times smarter than I am. When I first came to Wax, actually 2.5 years ago, I was just talking about this the other day. I was in the Wax developer channel on Discord for months, like just trying to build the token creator, and Include Null basically answered like so many ridiculous questions that I had. And if it wasn't for him, I definitely would not be where I am today.
Fair enough. Shout out Include Null. But yeah, the NFT's data is just stored as traits. It's just stored as traits. It's just stored as numbers, just purely numbers, and then these numbers look at these numbers, and then they give us other numbers, and then those other numbers turn into words, and then you got this, right? So very, very performative, very efficient, and when it goes, so there's no longer like mutable or immutable data. It's just data, right? It's just data. The only contract that can edit it is my contract, and it's like it's the purpose of it is that like every collection should just have custodial ownership over their own collection. Every creator. If I want to create like a second collection and allow these two contracts to communicate with each other or have some kind of unique functionality, it shouldn't be like a whole PR request. It shouldn't be like a whole process of has to to develop that. It should just be like, can you build it? If yes, then well, you now have it. And that's kind of what this as a standard's for. So for the vast majority of projects, it's like completely inaccessible because it requires you to be a pro at C++. But if you are a pro at C++, you are. This is the holy grail in terms of flexibility. You can do whatever you want with it, and it's not restricted in any manner. It's very efficient in terms of like deciphering asset data. And the only thing that I kind of still have yet to solve is the whole API side of things. And I've got a couple tactics, a couple ideas for how to tackle that, but that is the one shortcoming that I'm still trying to piece together. The API side of things with just API management for an asset standard that isn't necessarily standardized is kind of a logistics nightmare, but it's possible. I swear it's possible. Figure it out one day.
It also gets very complex in terms of even just handling like forks in the chain is hard enough, but you can make that happen if you just keep track of like every time you adjust a table row or whatever. You just keep track of what block you did that and what the old data was. If there's a fork, you go back to it. But there's so much more to it than that. Like if you actually look deep into the Atomic Assets API and the Atomic Market API, there's so much complex indexing between different tables and then linking them to each other through foreign keys and things like that. A bit technical jargon, I know, but being able to access things efficiently when you have millions and millions and millions and millions of rows, you have to plan that like perfectly almost, or else your API is just going to break because your database is not going to be able to fetch all the info when people request it.
Absolutely. And there's only so much you can do to even I don't know, I don't even know how you go about developing something like that. I don't know how you develop like clinical perfect software.
Lots of testing. It's definitely I'd say that's a lot of what takes up my time when I start a new project. Like it was different in the old days when I first got started on WaxDAO and all that. Like I would just sit there and just freestyle the contract basically and launch it and not care. But nowadays, like I can't do that anymore. Everything I build now is like thoroughly tested, and a good portion of the time, I'd say more time is spent on designing the plan than actually writing the code.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I would say that's definitely the case for smart contracts. For front end design though, I find I'm spending a lot of time just hammering away, especially with like the 3D coding stuff and just making them like the algorithms for it. It's just like
I hate front end like so much.
Yep. I wish I could hire someone to do this UI, but I don't think any UI designer has encountered this much metadata in an NFT. So
That's an issue too when you have a complex project on a obscure chain like Wax. Not to call Wax obscure, but I mean, it is to most people.
How do you find the talent to come work on it, right?
Yeah, look, there's people out there that can learn, but then think like, how much time are you going to spend just coaching this guy to even wrap his head around what you're doing?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely, dude. I think I've given some people like nightmares when I've described how the game actually works at like a deep level. Like it's
like you get some guy off a Fiverr who doesn't even know what Wax blockchain is, but he's great at front end. And it's like, well, now you have to explain to him what the concept of an NFT and atomic assets even is in the first place. And you're starting from a new user at that point. It's like, I can't teach you all this stuff.
Yeah, and it's like I gotta teach them how to look at this, like how to manage and decipher like all of this data. Like this is for every single NFT. It's just arrays and arrays and arrays of different stats, right? And telling them, well, this is where the life value should be. We have our flat life regen. Where should we put that? Maybe we should put it next to the missing energy regen. Like it's literally walls and walls of data. So training people to pick this up is training people in general, I find to be actually one of the most difficult things to do.
And then so these little objects here that you have with a whole bunch of different fields in them, these are things that you would also want to be able to search by, right? Like if you were building an API, you'd want someone to be able to pick like that it has the trait of whatever, so they can request only those NFTs. Then go ahead.
So the perfect example of what a trade site for a game like this would look like is Path of Exile's trade site, because you have a lot of items with a lot of permutations and combinations. You need a lot of flexibility. You need a lot of conditional statements, right? So maybe I want to have an NFT. It's got cold resistance. It's got dexterity, right? Give me 15 dexterity, but no more than 30. And then I want a count. I want 2 of attack speed, cast speed, and movement speed. Give me 2 of these, 5% of any of them. And I don't want to have any spell damage, right? And I want it to be an amulet. I can make this 1. I want it to be an amulet, and I want it to be rare, right? That's an absurd amount of filtering, but it's like this trade site's able to deliver it, no problem. And that's like, by the way, we're talking about billions of digital assets in Path of Exile. The game itself, it generates, we're like in a single like 3-minute session, you might generate 100,000 digital assets. So I feel like they have some tech on that side that we don't even know about, because the numbers that they're putting out are biblical. And I don't know how you would filter for, I don't know, 100 million, 500 million, a couple billion maybe digital assets across like fields as complex as this. And it's like there's a lot more fields. You can use all of them in tandem, damage per
You just
second,
have to get
armor.
so complex with your database structure where you're indexing by literally every single, not only the fields that are actually there, but also within the objects, like the
Yeah.
data of the NFTs, like indexing by each individual thing, and then
Yeah.
probably also indexing by the values within those. The key has an index and the value has an index, and then probably a combined index on the both of them. It's like there's so much complexities involved. It's a nightmare to set up, but like if you ever get to the point where it is set up, it's like very proud feeling, I would say.
I bet. It has to be, because I can't. I'm still trying to wrap my head around how how they've even achieved this. Like, how is this even possible to have this level of flexibility in their filtering? Like, atomic acids feels like it's exploding. With like the current filters that exist, I'm just like trying to look stuff up. It's very simple. The atomic acids filtering options. You can't really do much at all. You can't input values. You can't input conditional statements. I want two of any of. Give me one of any of these three traits. You can't input a regex. So it's very simple compared to like what exists, and it's like this exists, so it must be possible. Which kind of makes you happy in a way, because that means we could do a lot more with atomic assets, and just API development in general when it comes to digital assets.
Yeah, and atomic assets might not have certain features, but it's definitely not simple. It's freaking.
Oh, I know.
If you look at the code for that API, man, it's like
Oh, I know.
extremely. You're just like, wow, I can't believe they did all this before they like made this public. It's crazy.
Absolutely.
Aeon wants to know if there's anything open source and unique/new in general with the game.
Well, I mean, everything about the game is pretty unique, but no, there isn't much that's open source, not necessarily. Gotta find a way to monetize it. Gotta find a way to make sure that it remains valuable. There's no money in open sourcing stuff, right? So
yeah, when I started off and I wasn't a block producer yet, I kind of refused to open source anything. I didn't see the value in it as somebody who was trying to bootstrap basically a company or whatever you want to refer to it as, multiple projects and get paid. Giving away my, I don't want to call it a monopoly, but like giving away my unique value add at that point was not attractive to me. But now that I've gotten to a position where I'm high in the block producer rankings and the ultimate goal for me is to grow the chain, I'm at a point now where I don't want to build anything that's not open source because I'm less focused. Like I have an income source basically.
yeah.
As long as I add value, I should be able to maintain it. And my ultimate goal is to grow the chain now. As a new project developer, not that you're new, but like as a project developer who's kind of bootstrapping, it is difficult to justify open sourcing, I would say.
Absolutely. And the thing is, with game development as a whole, it's like if you have a good game design, it just gets copied. It just gets copied, and it's like maybe by a team that now has like a clean canvas. They don't have to worry about they don't have to worry about anything. They could just start fresh, just copy your game, push it out. Right. So it's actually like you're completely disincentivized from open sourcing anything related to game development.
And even with the OIG block producer stuff, I don't know the answer. Like I don't envy them for their position because I know they have difficult choices to make. But I don't like that there doesn't seem to be much incentive on that side to open source things either. Like I understand this probably isn't the greatest example because I don't know how much work this person has done over time to maintain his stuff. But like just to use an example that I like to go to, Marcos from 3DK Render built the Blenderizer contract a few years ago and open sourced it. Nifty Blocks, NFT Hive, and basically whoever else has a blender made their own closed source versions of it. Obviously, they upgraded it and modified it and turned it into real products that attracted users. So like they should be rewarded for that. But I think Marcos is now at the point where he gets 0 points for that. And like, I don't know. I feel like he's the reason those Nifty Blocks or NFT. Like, I don't want to say he's the reason they exist. That's not fair to them. But like without him, those Blender tools that exist now and have all these users, they wouldn't be there.
He made a contribution that isn't being recognized.
And it was for a while. And like that also brings the question of how long should you be able to get rewarded for something? But I don't know. I think if you launch something, open source it, and other people create products and take your users away basically off of your code, I think you should get at least something for like, I don't know about eternity, but
it's a good place to start.
yeah. Yeah.
I hear you.
I built crafting and pack opening contracts before they released Blenderizer, says include no. Did you where are those open source? Where are they? But yeah, even regardless of Marcos and the Blenderizer thing, it's just the general concept of it. I don't think there's really not much incentive from a block producer standpoint to open source, unless I guess if you have like a high enough ranking and you're comfortable possibly losing some rank and you just want to see the chain grow because you have so much invested into it, that it's worth the risk at that point. I don't know.
I think you're onto something there. I think open sourcing is something that's like, if you're already an established player in the game, then and you want to go even further, then you start to look at open sourcing. I don't think you can start by open sourcing software, because the odds that like no one's going to know about it and someone just takes it are just, like really high, you know?
Yeah. Oh, especially on. I shouldn't really throw shade or anything. I don't mean anybody in specific, but like on Wax, there's a lot of people that like to kind of just. I would say people aren't really all that creative around here. Like they are, but a lot of people like to just keep rehashing existing stuff and not really innovate much. And when you have a community like that, if you're a small creator who's just showed up and you don't have a following yet, you go and open source your thing and no one knows about it, like you said, you're going to get a block producer who's probably going to steal your project, you know, and they're going to get everybody to come to them and they'll probably get rewarded for it. And you probably can't even prove that they took it from you because, I mean, who are you? You're nobody, right?
Exactly. You nailed it. Yeah. Earlier, I saw Fenris Butcher. You asked, why can't we have Path of Exile, but on the Wax blockchain where items are tradable NFTs? So this is something that you, and I think most of the people who are, enjoyers of action RPGs or just RPG games in general have asked. It's like the tech isn't there yet, right? The games would have to be redesigned from the ground up. Not in the context. So it's all about performance, right? If you want to look at it like that, it's all about performance. If you make something like 10 times as performative as what it used to be, it's still the same beast, but it's a totally different animal, And like where Path of Exile is, and where like what any blockchain is capable of right now, we're like 3 to 4 orders of magnitude away. And it's like if we can't reach those levels of performance, then it's just not really possible, right? So if like within like 3 minutes, one player can generate the equivalent of 100,000 NFTs. There's not a blockchain on this planet that's there yet, especially if you have a player base of 100,000 players. So we're talking about 100,000 squared. Is that 100 million?
10 million, maybe 10 a billion.
I think that's actually hold on.
I think it's 10 billion.
Yeah. Yeah, so these are crazy amounts of digital assets being, yeah, it's 10 billion, you're right. These are crazy amounts of digital assets being created every couple of minutes. And it just doesn't exist, like the tech stack to kind of deal with that. Now, so that's like the itemization side of it. Then you have the actual game side of it, right? Where you have an off-chain game registering player actions and events, and distributing these rewards. So you can have some kind of integration where these assets just exist in an off-chain database, and then you're able to wrap them and put them on chain. So the tech side, it's like you would need like the dream team, right? Like top tier talent to work and build this architecture. And then you'd probably need another 6 to 7 years just to build the AAA game on top of it. And so your average AAA game, average, right? You're looking at around $50 million and a team of around 250 people. 6 to 7 years. And so with expenses of that caliber, that which is on top of like groundbreaking innovation that needs to have happened before then, which is just supporting the item architecture, you're not making a massive investment, a massive risk into technology that is still trying to prove itself. You know, the Wax blockchain in its entirety is worth around 120 million right now. 50 million cash, if that was just invested into Wax, it'd be worth $500 million. You know, 50 million cash is a crazy sum in today's day and age to invest in a to have invest in a Hail Mary in a risky new niche, new environment. The payoff is potentially huge. It could give rise to a $10 billion gaming giant, absolutely. But it's like this is like top of the food chain business strategies and gambles that like you it's just like we're just not there yet. We don't really have the resources, and it's not that like Wax isn't there. I don't think any chain is there. I don't think any company is there because every single other company, what they're doing is they're just hiring. Oh, let's just hire the oldest person we can find in Blizzard. He knows lots of stuff. And it's like, well, yeah, but how many hours can he work? Can he learn any new tricks? Can he learn anything new at all? Or is he just going to do the same stuff as he's been doing for the past 30 years? Because that's the case at a lot of these prestigious game companies. You have a lot of very tenured, very talented people, but it's like they're not going to adapt to this new technology that was like they just got like a PR like request like 2 weeks ago. Like that's out of their books for them, you know. And so, sorry, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I was just gonna say that I agree with you, and that I mean, let's be honest. I know some people probably aren't gonna like me saying this, but if we're honest with ourselves, with the current landscape that we have in the crypto space, blockchain gaming is a terrible experience. It sucks. You can do certain things. It's cool. Like you could own your assets. That's fun for people like us. But like, for example, if you knew the founder of, like, I'm a boomer. I don't really know anything about the gaming economy right now. So I'm just going to use Rockstar Games. I don't know if they're still a thing.
Oh, of course, yeah.
But if you knew the dude who runs Rockstar Games, right, and he has millions and millions of players out there who plays amazing games, and they just go and they grab their controller and they just start and have a great experience. Like, if he was your friend and you cared about him, would you legitimately tell him to move his game onto the blockchain and not think that you're destroying his business?
No, absolutely not. And that's like the thing that I was kind of like leading up to, which is that even if you can solve all of these logistics, innovation, talent finding, funding problems with trying to get something like Path of Exile or let's say a GTA on the blockchain, now you have to ask yourself, well, what do they even gain? And why would they? They're already an established company with an established product that lots of people love. Why should they even come here? You know, if we can, like, what can we even offer? Like, what can even Ethereum, like, forget Wax, what can even Ethereum offer them? What can Polygon offer them?
Well, and that's the thing that I always try to say that people seem to disagree with. It's not about the gaming experience for these game companies. Their CEOs are not having meetings saying, like, hey, we're down 2% on sales in this category in the last quarter. No, but hold on. I don't care about that. Did you know that you can own your digital asset on chain and trade? Like, you know what I mean? They don't care about that shit. What they're saying is, hey, boss, did you hear that Bitcoin thing is 60 grand? Oh, yeah, NFTs, they're making a killing. People are launching projects. They make $10 million overnight. How can we capitalize on this? They're trying to come here and sell something, but they don't want to bring their user base to play the game on the blockchain. It's going to destroy their company. Like the experience sucks compared to what they have now. They're here for money.
It's a very high risk strategy in general, you know. And I don't necessarily think that there's anything wrong with like, hey, you're putting up $50 million to develop a AAA game. You've got talents from all over the world. 250 people's livelihoods depend on this. It has to be a success. You're about to spend 7 years on average developing this. It has to be a success. I don't think it's unreasonable to say, hey, it's got to make money. It's got to be profitable. But I will say that, like, yeah, like the quality of the gaming experience, generally speaking, in Web3, it's just not where it should be. It should be better. But it's also like, you know, I think a lot of it is also about expectations and how you have this sense of this virtual cemetery, you know. So normally your average small business, your average company, 90% of them fail after the first 5 years. 90% of them, right? If mom and pop's coffee shop, they go bankrupt, another store is going to take that place. People will forget about it, right? With NFTs, with tokens, you have this virtual cemetery, this virtual graveyard where you're just constantly reminded of every single investment that you made that didn't pan out well. And you might think that, oh, well, clearly there's so many grifters, so many bad actors. And it's like I would dare I say it, like in the vast majority of cases, you actually have great high quality people that are running the projects. They just didn't know how to run a business, which is I think that's a pretty human thing. Like it's like the expectation that, oh, you launching a crypto project, it's guaranteed to be successful. It's like that's absurd. We can't even get restaurants to be guaranteed to be successful, you know, 90% of them.
But yeah, I would say the good actors also have a less chance of becoming successful than the bad actors in a lot of cases because, like you said before, when like you got the airdrop question or the tokenomics question and stuff, and it's like, I'm not interested in trying to make this too about money. Like I want to have, I love building this and I want it to be fair. You're not the guy who makes a ton of money, makes a ton of money. Like the guy who makes a ton of money is the dude who comes in hot and he's like, yeah, I'm dropping 20,000 NFTs and they're going to be premium packs that get you this in the game. And it's like, you know, he's going to stick around longer because he actually made a shitload of money up front. Whereas the honest guy, like he doesn't have as much of a chance. Like, or even if you look at like me with Waxdale, I mean, I don't know what people's opinion of me is. Maybe some people don't think I'm an honest guy or whatever, but like I build a project that's cheap for everybody to use and like considered helpful by a lot of people. And I don't really make much off of it, at least not before being a block producer. There was no chance that that was ever going to sustain itself. I almost quit a year ago because it was going nowhere. Like so many users, but no money for me. And if I couldn't have become a block producer, I would have had to probably walk away from it at some point. So it's like, if you're not hyping things up and trying to make a bunch of money, you know,
and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with capitalism. Honestly, I know some people like to get it twisted. They say no, capitalism bad, but it's like no, man. There's nothing wrong with trying to deliver a high quality product or service and try to make your livelihood off of that. There is, however, a fine line between capitalism and being a ruthless prick, you know. And it's like we all know what that's like. We all know we've all been subject to someone taking it a bit too far and just charging feet like Uber or not Uber, DoorDash these days with the amount of extra fees they're adding, bro. They're
paying like $50 for a Domino's pizza, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, they got the $2 hood tax in there, the $3 plastic bottle. Like I don't know, man. They're just taking it too far, and that's where I would say it's like, yeah, like that is ruthless capitalism. That's not reasonable to subject anyone to, right? But I think just run of the mill, like, yeah, working hard to at the very least sustain and feed yourself. Like I don't think that's asking much, you know.
Well, the entire world is about exchange of value. I think if you're providing a value to somebody that they're willing to pay a price in return for, then you've kind of made an agreement. that person thinks that what you're adding is valuable enough for them to give you their money. If
Mhm.
that's the case and you're not trying to con them out of anything, I don't see any problem with it.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I would say that for the vast majority of projects, they just it's just the like the expenses and the business side of it is just something that people don't plan adequately for, you know. Um, Especially if you have like a large team or
Pink.gg.
well, I mean not everyone goes to their own every team goes to their own difficulties, but the most common ones that I see are the expectation of being able to pay your mortgage, bills, like the wife, the kids, everything off of like launching an NFT project, and it's like that is a huge gamble, you know, to shift into that like full time. It's definitely something that hey, piece by piece, little by little, you know. I'm 25. I live off of around 10,000 a year. So I could and I don't have any student loans. I don't have a wife. I don't have kids, right? I live with my parents. You know, I can afford to take that risk,
Nice.
right? So
Well, that's when you take the risk. We were just talking about this with Max last week from Neon Space about how like everyone's situation is different, and
mm,
somebody who doesn't have kids and someone to take care of, that's when you take those huge risks for the big payoff potentially. I mean, you can't do that if you have people that you
absolutely,
that depend on you.
absolutely.
Aeon said having open source while is it Aeon or Eon? Put a capital letter for however I'm supposed to pronounce it. But having open source while established helps with problem solving bugs and adapting to updates on the chain level. I like the notation of signing off on what a dev has contributed to. I agree with that.
Cool.
I think when you're at the point where you consider what you're building to be a protocol rather than a project, you have to be open source. If you want other people to build on top of your thing, you have to be. If it's your own thing, it's great if you are open source, but like I don't consider it as big of a deal because it's like, well, it's their business. They're not asking me to build on their stuff. Um, we need more open source protocols on Wax in general. I will say that. I say it a lot about exchanges like Alcor, and I love Alcor, so I'm not. Again, I feel the need to mention like every time. I'm not trying to take any shots at Alcor. Like they've done a lot for this chain. But like when we speak about expanding out of Wax and getting users to come over from elsewhere and getting developers from elsewhere, when those people come and look here and they say, I have this innovative idea, it's going to do something, somehow it involves trading, and they want to open source their project because that's what they're used to everywhere else. They come here and they can't actually build anything that involves trading because the exchanges are closed source and they're just going to nope out. It's like, what's the point of open sourcing and auditing my contract if it's built on something that's not open source? And plus, when you talk about people who actually build things the proper way and they write unit tests and they're testing every single scenario, you submit that for an audit and it's like, yeah, so this is what happens when we send the tokens to Alcor, it does this. And it's like, oh, really? Is that what you think? How do you know? You know, you're trying to reverse engineer code that you can't even look at so that you can write your own code to work with it. It's like, it's not just Alcor either. I don't mean to single them out. Just in general, I would just love to see more people open sourcing things on this chain, multi-sigging things, auditing things, and thinking more about expanding outside of the chain and attracting new people rather than like trying to capitalize, trying to gain a large portion of a very small fruit. And I don't mean you, T-Break, like you're building a game here. Obviously not really
No,
what
I hear you. I hear you. No, it's all good. It's all good. I'm coasting and doing my own thing over here on this side. I'm all about the research and innovation. I just think like yeah, I hear that about the small fruit. You know, we gotta get a bigger. We got bake into a pie or something.
Alcor is a great deck, says Fenris. I agree 100%. Like I said, I was
Yeah.
not trying to. I was just trying to make a general point about the chain. And since DEXs are like a very important component that other DeFi projects would build on top of, it's kind of just the first thing that comes to mind when I bring up that topic.
Okay. I'm seeing Fenris Butcher asked, are you saying it's basically impossible at the moment to create a AAA title on Web3? It's not that it's impossible, it's that it's very expensive, and guaranteed success in new titles with experimental technology is a myth. You can't have guaranteed success. It's just there's too much new that is happening. And when you have a lot of money, what do? You look for what's the best talents that I can buy. Let me go to Rockstar. Let me go to Bungie. Let me go to Tencent. Let me go to Riot Games. Let me go to like Blizzard, like Activision. There's so many companies. Let me just get the let me get the most senior people there. Oh, they'll take care of my expensive project. And then you have a whole team of people that cannot adapt to new technology. They just start doing things the same way they've always done it. They're too tenured.
I don't know if the tech itself right now even allows for a AAA title. I mean, I don't know that much about games to say what's considered AAA and what's not. But like in terms of UX,
it does. Here.
I know there are some things like you could do, like when they're storing information about your game items or whatever, and which this is the ideal scenario, and I think Include No says this a lot too, is like the games should remain how they are now, and certain stuff related to assets maybe should get submitted to a contract behind the scenes, but the user shouldn't have to really do anything related to the blockchain. Like it just totally interrupts the UX.
Yes, for the most part, yes. And it's like you could just sell, like a game company can just sell a game to users for maybe like, let's say $30, and users can, like, let's say not have the possibility of making any money from it. But then they only spend $30, right?
Yeah, and they like gaming. Like that's
And that's the thing. Like they actually had a great experience. They actually enjoyed it. Oh, you didn't like the game? Well, here's your money back. Here's your refund.
Like I have
tough to compete with.
I have a younger brother. He's not that young anymore, but I'm pretty sure he still plays games and he likes racing stuff. I don't know what racing games there are now. Like in my day, it was like Midnight Club and like Need for Speed and stuff like that. But my point is, like, if I was to walk into his room and he's playing like Need for Speed and he picks up his controller and he's just racing and he wins and shit, like he has a good time. Do you think he's gonna want to listen to me if I come in there and I'd be like, "Hey, man, you know what you really need to do is sign up for this wallet right now. Oh, you just have to send X amount of tokens to it, and you need these private keys and these public keys, and then once you do that, you have to go to this exchange and but you can have your asset on the blockchain, man. Like if this game ever bans you, bro, if Call of Duty ever tells you can't have your sword, like in this, first of all, that's a lie, by the way, anyway, and unless the contract's like open source and the keys are thrown away or multi-sig, like even on Atomic Assets, if you have a notification set up, they can block you from doing anything they want. Most games do have notifications because they need them, especially if they want to offer non-custodial stuff. So like to tell people that like it's in your wallet and you definitely own it is kind of a lie in and of itself for the most part.
Well, so, I think the idea of it being in your wallet is one of the biggest lies ever told.
I know. When I first,
the moment you get the smart contract type, you're like, wait a minute.
When I had that, I made a video about that like 2 years ago or 2.5 years ago when I actually realized how token balances work, and I was like, whoa, wait a second. Like, you mean to tell me that it's just like an Excel spreadsheet that the contract owner can edit? Like they can just change my balance and say it's zero now?
Well, not even that. Just the idea that like, oh, the tokens are in your wallet. It's like your wallet actually doesn't. It's just a name with keys attached to it. That's it. What actually exists is your name is on the balance of tokens, and so we just treat that as being in your wallet, right? But then technically you could say that like, well, for explorations, right? Well, technically, we look at areas. Well, I guess technically this user has a solar system in their wallet, right? This guy's got multiple solar systems. It's the same way, same terminology, right? That's crazy talk.
His name exists in a spreadsheet, and there's data next to it.
Yeah,
So
clearly he owns it.
it's in his wallet.
Yeah, it's in his wallet. I've seen a whole lot of other comments though. Say a game fails is a lot of work that is redlined, and that's the only thing to show from a dev standpoint. Absolutely.
He's talking about the open source code. I think it was part of
Oh, I see. I see. Yeah. Absolutely. You heard that Sony is building its own layer 2 chain. You think it will be able to handle AAA title? It's not that AAA titles can't be handled on chain or just in with blockchain tech. Because there's like a couple, like it depends on the magnitude of performance you want out of it. If you want to be able to generate 10 billion digital assets every 3 minutes, yeah, you're gonna have to do some groundbreaking innovation there. But for the most part, it's not the tech that's not 100% there. The tech side to like about 50-60% there. A lot of it is the people, right? And so that includes both the developers, right, and gathering the talent that's required to deliver a AAA title, and also the user base. What if users just want to have a good time? What if you've been working all day, you want to come home, you want to play some Call of Duty, you want to jump out of the battle bus and get the victory royale, right? You don't want to look at a spreadsheet of stocks. You don't want to look at like an index. Oh no, my V bucks are worth less today because they simply are. For the most part, people just want to play games and have fun. And the moment you like it, it's a very compelling and alluring idea to be able to make money while playing games. But it's just very difficult to make it competitive with having fun, right? Most people spend money to have fun. Web3 gaming, for the most part, is in such a dire state that like developers have to pay users to just play the game. Otherwise, they won't play them.
I think it's just this weird timeline that we're in right now where you have these two completely unrelated sectors and you can see a clear use case and value add for them merging together. In terms of, when I say value add, I mean like money to be made for everybody involved. And we're trying to like force that convergence. Gaming and crypto is what I mean. And it's like, we're just really not there. But like the people on this side want it to happen so bad. And I think the people on the other side are kind of just like, I don't give a shit about blockchain gaming at all. But like at the same time, they're also hearing about crypto and going up in value. So there's some middle ground somewhere where they'll meet together. But I just don't know. I don't know how it's going to play out,
One step at a time. Just got to see what happens next.
Got to keep grinding.
Absolutely. Thunder is just saying, I kind of think Wuffy was a big step for expanding the chain. I think Wuffy was a great initiative. To be entirely honest, it helps feed the people, for sure. In a time of difficulty, I think Wuffy was a light in darkness.
I think what it showed is that the Wax team has a fantastic grasp of marketing.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I know we didn't really see that for a long time, but obviously they knew what they were doing with this. In terms of, I don't know. I know it's not completed. People on Wax got airdrops, so that was nice. The Woofy ended up being worth more than the Wax that they got airdropped for holding. But in terms of it expanding the chain, I don't see at this time how it actually attracts anybody coming back here. I had kind of, when it first got announced, I was like, I'm not going to really give much of an opinion on this right now because I feel like they might have a kind of a master plan to bring people back. But I think the bridge just making chains compatible by itself isn't really any reason for people to come here.
I agree. Just because you have a bridge that does not tell people why they should cross it.
Like I don't think Solana users are taking their Woofy and bringing it over to Wax and like providing liquidity on Alcor.
Oh,
So
definitely. And I think there's more continuous airdrops. It's just more accessible to other projects to give airdrops
yeah.
to WAF that's held on Solana than is to do it on Wax. I think
But I will
that's
say,
how it is.
to give myself a little bit of a self shill here, since this is the WaxFusion show,
Hmm?
I really want to get LS Wax bridged onto base, like very badly. Because a token like that, it doesn't matter which chain it's on. The liquid token could be on another chain, the receipt token, right?
Hmm.
But the underlying wax for it is always going to be on the Wax blockchain, no matter what chain the liquid stake token is on. So for me, I feel like getting that onto another chain where there's actually a lot of users. If there's something to do back here with that token, like the APRs are good, or even if the APRs are good on base, right? And we got the token on Aerodrome, and there was good bribes. I don't know if you guys know what Aerodrome is, but um, basically, like we might attract some base users to buy the token, and then the value underlying is on Wax. It will help us grow. Okay, that's what I want to do. I think that being on other chains would have more value than like. I don't want to make a joke out of Woofy because they did a great job with it, but essentially it is a meme coin. So that's what I would like to see.
I saw the Wax team did a very interesting marketing tactic with the Wuffy. Hold on, let me see if I can find. Let me see if I can find the video for it. This one. This I've never seen something like this before. Oh, jeez. Never mind. Sorry, there's an ad. All right, I'll show. I can show it in 30 seconds. That's
You got to get on that U Block Origin game, son.
I've got it, dude. It's just not good enough these days. Get rid of
Artist
some of these.
arbitrage is what people are scared of. Well, yeah, yeah. For multi-chain game tokens, that's for sure. That's another thing when I brought up LS Wax. Arbitrage is good for everybody when that happens because it compounds the earnings of the protocol and is given back to users. It makes everybody money when that happens. For a game token, probably not great because you buy it one place and then it's cheaper another place or whatever. But
That's something I wanted to mention about Terraformer. So if you go to Wax on Edge, right now there's a thing with all the elements, like under the custom token contract, it's like around 13 or 14 tokens. Um, Technically, you could have all of these paired with one another, and as I add more and more tokens, more of them would pair with each other. And so I wonder what would happen to any bot that's trying to arbitrage something like this. Cause like, or even like multi-routing as a whole. Cause like, what if you have, I don't know, let's say 100 tokens and they're all paired with each other?
yeah, I mean, that's exactly what we planned with LS Wax. It's pretty much like
Yeah.
when you have the same asset paired against a bunch of different pairs, and the other tokens in the pair are volatile, it creates a divergence because if it's paired against this one token and it's this price and it's paired against the other token and something changes and now the value is, you have the same token in two pools, but naturally it's different prices now, creates an arbitrage opportunity. And even if not arbitrage, routing with an aggregator, which regardless is going to add more volume naturally to your token. Then if you factor in the fact for, again, shilling my own stuff, LS Wax is an auto compounding token. So even if there's no trades, the price will change and create that arbitrage opportunity. So just like
Interesting.
naturally forcing volume and fees.
That's pretty neat. Pretty
Yeah.
neat. We gotta get LS, gotta get some LS Wax.
Yeah.
Just I gotta get some of it, just on my hands, mess around with it, see how it changes over time.
Oh, include null so that he fixed the, include object is now back to include null. He said it's been fixed.
He's fixed the null. Gotcha.
I pushed another fix for table view. You can toggle the data format now. And so I guess between like JSON and like a string or something.
Assets. Aha, very
Nice.
nice, very nice.
Pretty. He made it pretty.
Yeah, yeah. This is how your NFTs are stored. Very nice. You got your socketables. So that's the asset ID, template, mint, template number, and the contract name, the UN64T value. Then you have your attributes in a three-dimensional array. And so, yeah, this is kind of what I was mentioning before. You, like the user, this is, you are the owner. You truly do own this asset, right? I'll respect that you have this asset ID and these mint numbers. I'll respect that you rolled these traits, but the responsibility of what these traits mean, that will be up to me. You know, like I did, like if this is giving you max life today, or maybe it's giving you like binoculars on like a character, right? I'll be able to say in the future if it's still going to be binoculars, or maybe it's now it's a monocle, you know, because that fits the game better, the game balance and design.
Aeon says, when a new game creates a new token, I think he's adding on to the arbitrage thing with this comment. When a new game creates a new token and someone has a bot that auto buys new assets tokens. Yeah. So in my opinion, I guess it depends if a project is trying to raise money from the beginning or not. If they are, there should definitely be a fair launch type of deal in place, some type of fundraising, like an LGE, where like everybody just deposits into a pool for a day, and at the end of that day or 3 days, the tokens are split up evenly by whoever added how much. If they're not raising funds, I personally would love to see, like, if it's meant to be a reward token or something that then gets utilized later, I think initial distribution should always be like through interaction with the game. Yeah, like a pre-pool, LGE, liquidity generation event. Or if they're not raising funds, then you track like loyalty points, for example, where someone does certain actions within the game for the first 1 to 3 or 6 months or whatever, and they're rewarded based on interacting with the game. It's so much more fair than just like throwing the token out there on the market so some dude can just snipe it all up, and then the only way to get it is to buy it from him.
Absolutely. All of the Terraformers tokens have been through just playing with the game. I've never done an actual ICO for any of them. It's just you play the game, you hit the claim button, you will get the tokens, just like that.
He's lying. He did an ICO. SEC, are you in here? Is the SEC in here? No.
Wait.
He raised 10 million unregistered.
Unregistered NFT. We'll hop in a game. You can try playing the game too if you like.
Oh yeah, let me try and pull this thing up. TFMW, Terraforce Mini World.
Terraformers, many worlds.
Yeah, what did I say? Terraforce. What is that? Isn't that a thing?
Terraforce? That sounds like a thing. I think that's another project.
Terraforce. I said it again. Terraformers Mini World. Cool.
Terraforce mini worlds. I like it. Okay, we got 4 NFTs here. We're chilling. We're grinding. Yeah, I gotta add some new art. I gotta add, like, making the 3D code for a mushroom it was tough. It's not too bad, but for a whole character it's diabolical, man. It's absolutely diabolical. The ceiling's pretty high on this approach to programming when developing 3D models, because you can have like fidelity as like a slider. So if you have a very, very like good computer, you can just make it so that it renders more and more pixels because it's a function, right? It's like a wave or just whatever. So you can just have it more discrete points within that function. But it's like a whole character is unbelievably difficult. There's a lot of joint select curves, right? You got hands, you got knuckles, bones, all that kind of stuff. So,
all right, I'm not logged into my wallet on this computer, so I'm unable to play right now. But
all good though.
Also, we're going on 2 hours now.
Yeah.
I'll stay here all day. I don't care, but just putting it out there. If like you need to wrap up anytime soon, just let me know.
I think I'll be good for at least another 15 minutes. And then I gotta get cracking on some of the tech reviews and stuff like that. Um, get some get
So
some more
what is
food
that?
in me as well.
Are you helping the IG or Rakuten or Giannis with are you referring to Guild Tech Reviews?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You're in training. He's training his future replacement.
Guess so. Guess so. Yeah, I'm kind of like interning, as an intern IG almost, if you will.
He's next, right? For re-election.
No, he just got reelected.
Oh yeah, I mean, who's next then?
Yeah,
Kafer's next. Kafer's
Capers
next.
next. Yeah,
Yeah. I don't
yes.
see this blockchain without Kafer, to be honest. Like,
That's honestly, yeah,
I don't
yeah.
mean that as like any sort of insult to the other IGs either. It's just like I wouldn't even say it's about what he does. It's just there's been so many questions I've had about certain very core components of the chain, certain contracts or history, and like he's the only dude that can just tell me at the snap of a finger, like, oh yeah, no, that contract does this thing like this. It was built like that 7 years ago by the Wax team, and then 6 months later we found this problem, and so we changed it to this. It's like there's nobody else here. Like someone's going to come up with an idea if he leaves,
Mhm.
and like there's not going to be the guy there to say, well, no, we tried that 6 years ago and it didn't work, so we changed it to this.
Absolutely. That's why I'm not trying to run for Caper spot either. Like,
Yeah.
just saying.
I'm coming for a spot, man.
Yeah.
No, I don't really want to be an IG. I feel like there's certain things I could contribute there, but I just feel like my
Well,
efforts are best focused elsewhere.
it's mostly a regulatory position. It's
Yeah.
not like there is only so much that you can do as an IG.
Yeah, I mean,
You have more power in your hand than think it's a block producer.
from my understanding, I don't actually think that's the case. I think you have more power as an IG because I don't mean power as in like a conspiracy way. I mean, there are certain things that an IG can do that a block producer can't, um, or at least they're close enough to be involved in certain things that a block producer is kind of just going to get shunned away from. Like it's kind of not,
Mhm.
But on the other hand, there's really nothing that block producers do that an OIG can't. Like they just can't be a block producer while they're an IG. I was told that if I was to run for IG and get elected, I would earn as a block producer until the day I'm in office, unregister, and then I just wouldn't get block producer pay because I'm not producing blocks while I'm in office. And if I was, 18 months later getting ready to leave office, I could register again beforehand and be back in the rotation the day that I come out of office. And while in office, can still build the things that I'm building now. You can even get grants from Wax Labs to build stuff. Like
Mhm.
you can do everything that a block producer does and have a little bit of extra capability. I don't know if I would say it's their responsibility to do certain things, but I feel like if I was in there, I would be taking certain initiatives that I think could be taken and aren't. Um, and I don't mean that as any sort of like disrespect towards them. Just, I guess what I'm saying is that I disagree when people tell me, well, new guys come in, they say, I have this idea, I want to do this for the chain. And people are like, well, you don't understand what the IG's job is, bro. That's not their job. And it's like, well, it's not my job to be doing half the shit I'm doing right now. I'm already like almost ranked #1. I don't need to do half the shit I do.
Mhm.
It might not be my job, but it's my duty because I'm getting inflation from the blockchain. I need to add value to it. That's how I feel on a daily basis. And I feel like if I was in there, I
Mhm.
would still feel the same way and I could still do a lot of things I'm doing right now.
Fair enough, man. I hear you.
Possibly more effectively, being that I wouldn't have to pay for servers either.
Maybe. Well, then maybe you should run for IG. I will say, from the perspective of like being trained to do what they're like having a good look at all the responsibilities and stuff. It's not like you can't even really advocate for change. You don't even really have the time of day to advocate like developing new things as an IG member. All of them do. Like the entire voting page, I'm pretty sure that was just Rake and then just built that. Like the whole OYG
The
website.
Yeah, and the Notion site. Yeah, of
Yeah, so
course.
it's like all of them do like these like extracurricular things that aren't part of their job, but it's like they all have like their own kind of specialty and things that they're really good at, and they sort of gravitate towards that. It's
Yeah,
just like, but it's like of course you want to see big radical change that like puts put some fuel in the engine and watch the blockchain like really soar.
yeah. I
Some stuff.
also I don't want to come across like I'm suggesting that any of them aren't fulfilling their duties or
Oh no, I understand what you're saying. I totally get what you're saying. It's like there are things that you just want to see improve, but it's like a lot of times it's like even the IG doesn't even have a say in it.
it's just even the perspective. And again, like I none of the three guys that are there right now, I'm not even saying I would want to see any of them go. Like I think they all do their part. But I think when you have like 5 years go by and it's the same guys, and like for instance on the roundtables, maybe I'm alone in this, but I get very frustrated with hearing the same crap all the time, and it's like no one listens to me. And then like no one listened to me when I said that DeFi was necessary and the opportunity to make money was important, and that would bring users to the chain. Like no one still wants to hear it. And then I launch a DeFi project, and there's 5 million wax in total value locked in 2 weeks. And it's like maybe will people listen to me now? Probably not. Still, that's like I would just like to see at least one guy in the rotation that has a different perspective at some point.
Mhm.
And again, that doesn't mean I want to see one of those guys replaced. I feel like some fresh blood and perspective could be injected into there somewhere, and it would make me feel a lot better.
I think you are that fresh blood, Mike. I mean,
Honestly, I really think I could be. I just don't know if I want to do it. Um,
that's up to you, man. That's up to you. But I mean, your perspective is a unique one, right? So that's your strength, if anything.
Question to Mike: how did you decide which tokens you want to reward with farms? Why is there a honey farm but not well, TLM? That's honestly probably an oversight on my part. I plan on creating a TLM farm. We've been talking about this. I can't manually create farms right now myself, or I would have done that already. Actually, I'm waiting to push a new contract update to allow me to create my own farms. Once that happens, I will actually be creating a TLM farm. But basically, when I first proposed this to Wax Labs or to the Wax team directly, part of it, the selling point, I guess, to like increase the chances of it getting built was I wanted to show them that like we will help grow the community, and like I focused on community tokens of the biggest projects, right? So obviously you're wondering why TLM isn't in there. That's again probably an oversight on my part, but Honey, Nefty, Wombat, etc. Like the goal was basically to increase liquidity for all the main projects on Wax. So I figured it would help get them on board more if they knew that was happening, and that's why we went with those. Mike, so lose all voting power and voting power. Others trust you on and vote on you to vote on other things. Not 100% sure what you're. So voting power. Could you maybe like rephrase? I'm kind of unsure what you're saying there, Aeon.
Yeah, I'm reading some of the comments right now as well.
Could be interesting if there was a sort of Wax Labs like reward given to projects who do great, helpful things on the blockchain without applying. Yeah, like retro, whatever the term is, retroactive. Is that the right word? Funding, like for something you did in the past. Yeah, it's been brought up. I like that idea. It's tough because it's tough enough to get a grant in the first place. So to ask for something you already built is like Fusion, for example. I spent 6 months on that, and I'm pretty much like, if I even break even after I get paid, which hasn't happened yet, I'll be lucky. Um, I can't blame the Wax team for that because I got exactly what I asked for, or well, I haven't gotten anything yet, but I will be getting exactly what I asked for, so it's not their fault. But like, there's also a reason why I only asked for a small amount, and it's because like I didn't think I was going to get anything bigger. Um, and that's for something that wasn't even built yet. So I don't know how much luck anybody would have getting something for something they already launched.
I feel like you have this sort of difficult conundrum where if you want to reward retroactively reward projects, you have on one side you have projects that are successful, they're already making lots of money, they don't need the extra Scooby snack, um, and they're the most likely the ones to get the Scooby snack. And on the other hand, you have the projects that aren't widely successful, but they would benefit from the Scooby snack more than anyone else, right? And so it's like, well, how do you choose? What does more net good? Because your contribution to an already successful project, it's moot. They're already successful. They're already generating like 100K a month. Like it's
Yeah, but even something like
recognition, though. I could see that for sure.
or even like, I hate to make things about myself, but it's just the first example that comes to mind. Like when I had launched WaxDAO a while ago, and it became having thousands of users and creators using it, and like I said, I almost quit at one point because I wasn't making money. Like if somebody else was now in a similar position like that, where they built something really useful, but they just couldn't sustain themselves, maybe like something for them, I guess. But even then, it's like you could just ask and maybe you'll get it.
That's what I would say. Yeah, that like regardless of what the wax team can do, if you don't ask, you're not going to be given anything, right? So you got to ask, and that's kind of like something that I think is contrary to what I don't know what the world almost teaches you in a sense. It almost feels like it's illegal to ask for support.
That's how I felt like that when I made my first proposal ever, and then even every time after that, I've never asked for, like, the first time I ever asked for anything, I asked for $18,000 to do like an insane amount of work. And I got that. I was happy. But like ever since then, anytime I ask for a grant, it's always
Mm.
like, I shouldn't even ask for this. I don't know. It looks bad, or like, like, and then I ask for like for WaxFusion, basically $5,000 for 6 months of work to split with somebody and pay incentives out of my 2,500. I paid for the logos out of it. So like at the end of the day, I'm probably losing money on that.
Bro, that man. You could have added a zero to that.
Yeah. Well, it cost them more than that.
Oh,
I
did
did.
it help as well?
I asked for funding of protocol owned liquidity and
Oh, gotcha,
protocol owned wax for the CPU rental side of it. So like
gotcha, gotcha.
they're spending more than $5,000, and they gave me months of auditing for free, like legitimate auditing. So I have no complaints. I got exactly what I asked for. But yeah,
Sweet.
like
Well,
I don't
I think that's a pretty good deal then, because sometimes, all the money in the world isn't going to actually get you the best resources. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
for me, this project wasn't necessarily about making money. It was like, and don't get me wrong, I love making money. That's what I'm here for. So don't get it confused. But I genuinely thought this would add like real value and give us a chance at actually getting recognized somehow in the blockchain space. Like having a liquid token with actual like thought and mechanics behind it that could somehow expand out of Wax. Yeah,
Absolutely.
I don't know. What else do we got here? When I said I would remove myself if elected. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, basically the votes don't really matter from users anyway in terms of rankings. The OIGs decide. Like the Wax team has I'm sure you know this anyway, but
Oh yeah.
the Wax team has a massive wallet with X amount of funds in it. The OIGs, when they do their evaluation, their contract kind of automatically stakes the wax or votes with the wax team's wax to those block producers. So yeah, like losing votes or whatever, all I would do is leave the rotation. I wouldn't make money as a BP, and I would just be an OIG for a while if I ever did that. But I don't think I would, to be honest. In terms of people viewing it as some people look at it like stacking the Supreme Court and are totally against it. I fully understand that. It's just what options do we have? Like who else do you see stepping up? I mean, T-Break did. I think Henrik actually is in here, and he did. But for the most part, I don't really see any new candidates that are interesting to me most of the time. I genuinely care about the chain. I've been here for years, and I have the skills to do certain things, and I feel like I have a unique perspective. But I feel like I could make such a good case for myself if I ever did want to run. But I don't think
I think so too.
I don't think it's for me.
I'd say because you're already established as a block producer, I don't think, I think you can just do more with block production because your hands aren't tied with doing all of a lot of the more bureaucratic work. And block production in itself, I mean, it's not like you've got like a block production press and you're like cranking these blocks out one at a time. Like it's a pretty autonomous system, you know. So you're able to develop things that are actually very impactful.
I agree. I don't know. I think you can do that in there too. I don't think that the current IGs feel like it's their role. And hey, maybe they're right.
I will say this right now, after being exposed to just like the basics of the internal working, there is a lot of hand cranking going on there. There's a lot of stuff that's not automated that should be, and it can be. And I will personally be trying to get it automated ASAP. But there's a lot of redundant work happening there. But it's not like I can't even imagine putting together this architecture in the first place. But now that it's here, like I can see it could be optimized, and it likely will be optimized. And it's like even the role of the IG might change in the future, and it might be one that would be less, tech revisions and guild reviews and stuff, and more so towards well, not necessarily because this is actually like a thing we literally talked about today, me and Reagan, and making it so like I think eventually, personally, I think there should be 2 teams, right? One regulatory body for the IG, just doing the tech revisions and stuff, and then one more of like a innovative body, right? Spearheading new ideas and products, but not in a way where it's like, well, we want to see people build this, but just something in the middle where it's like we have that, because it's like the worst thing that could happen is like, let's say the IG process is automated and a bunch of people's times got freed up, and now they're redundant. Oh, I guess we just don't need IGs anymore. It's all automated,
Yeah, so, but I just don't see that being the case. I feel like if you have more time and you're doing less work on whatever they're doing now, then you have so much more opportunity to, like, look at me or other block producers that actually get stuff done, which is a good few of them, not all of them, of course. Like everything that we can do from our position, like laser focused on what we want to do on this chain and like making it all happen. But it just like, even as a BP, you know how community members sometimes say like, oh, it feels like I can't access the team or whatever. Or like I do talk to the team occasionally, and like the IGs are there if I need to talk to them, but it's not the same. It's not the same as being in there. Like I feel like if you're in there, you have a little bit of a different perspective and ability to execute on certain things that as a block producer you just can't. And if you think that the chain has certain problems, like that's a good position to be in to actually try and solve those. And that's what I mean about perspective, because I don't think anybody agrees with mine, and like call me egotistic, but I think mine is the right perspective. And I think there's a lot of people who agree with me.
I think there's truth in everyone's perspective. And hey, You can let me know anytime. If there's there are some things that are because I mean you told me about the inferior thing, right? I'll bring that up. You told me about hey, like the voting, if is my protocol can get drained right before the next OIG election. We can look
Yeah,
into these things, right?
I
So let me
mean,
know if there's anything that is actually, if it's upsetting or bothering you, you can get sorted out, because it is a small we're a small pond here, right? There aren't too many of us.
I would love to see a further discussion around the voting contract for the OIG elections. Like an
Okay.
actual discussion. Here's the problem. It's like I have my ideas and I submit it or whatever, or I bring it up to people, but it's always in an unorganized manner. And it's usually like, yeah, we've been working on it for a while, but there's these complications and it never goes anywhere. And it's like I'm presenting an actual strategy, and I would like a full on conversation about the strategy I'm presenting, what
Hmm.
problems you see with it, and like whether or not it's something that anyone would be interested in. Because I'll build it, I'll build it and have it audited. I'll do everything for it. I just want somebody to, and this is what I mean again about being in that position. Like out here, it's like I'm needing somebody else to give me permission to try. And in there, I could just be like, hey, Wax Team, it's our weekly call. Listen, here's what I want to do. I've written a sample. Check this out. Yes or no.
What if I told you the IGs, like how you felt that you feel to BP to an IG, the IGs feel like that to the Wax team.
Well, yeah, and so do I. I get it. I mean, I
You know
reached
what I
out
mean?
to them and they take a week to get back to me, We launched WaxFusion almost a month ago at this point and still haven't even. I'm not complaining. I'm just saying I get it.
I think it's just the nature of when you have so many different groups and entities, it's like an extended organization with branches, right? I think it's the nature of, and it's like I don't know how the hell they do anything they like on Ethereum and stuff, but like someone comes up with a new asset standard and it just gets adopted like that on that side. It's like yeah, I don't know.
Not sure if you know Mike, but Wax did promote WaxFusion. Oh yeah, no. I submitted the article to them and I asked them to do that. That's what I mean by just ask. I mean, a lot of people
Mhm.
complain. I've done this in the past too, and I acknowledged my mistake as soon as it was pointed out to me. Like I was like, "Oh, Wax Team's promoting so and so, and not me," And it's like, you could just ask, right? And then I did ask, and then they did it. So it's like a lot of times you do kind of have to just ask. But yeah, like I said though, a minute ago, how like I didn't get paid for it yet, and I'm not complaining because I can't complain. I can't say they haven't supported us. Like they audited it. They pinned us on their Twitter after they posted that article. They posted in their Discord. They've done a lot to help. So
Absolutely.
Wax will fund good and interesting projects outside of labs. Nowadays, if I have a proposal, I submit it directly to the Wax team in a Google Doc. I don't know if everybody has that route, but I think you kind of could. Like if you had something you legitimately thought was useful for the chain, you could probably just message somebody from Wax and they'll get back to you. I mean, they have a bunch of tokens, right? They want the value to go up. They're obviously, they have a vested interest in good stuff getting built here. So
Mm-hmm.
they just have a different vision. They're not solely focused on NFTs right now. So they're turning down a lot of stuff that's just like, we want to make more NFTs and another tool for NFTs, which I can't say I disagree with either. Not that I'm like speaking down to anyone who's doing NFT stuff. I don't.
Well,
I,
NFTs are they're just data in a row. That's it. Everything else is an illusion, even tokens, NFTs, game contracts. Like I look at all that, it's like, dude, it's all the same sauce. Like there's an owner field, it's in your wallet apparently, and then it's just data. What I care about is like how can we build things that are immortal? You know, how can I launch a project? It's self-sufficient, it lasts forever. It's like a source of entertainment. You can have some fun. You can do stuff with it. You can interact with other people with it. And it lives forever. 100 years, 200 years from now, someone can just come and interact with that smart contract. They can play the game exactly as it was today. that's kind of motivates me to build on Wax.
Yeah, we definitely need people like that. I just think that right now that our problem is that we don't have any exposure outside of Wax. We're not attracting any new users. And sorry, I had this conversation with Max from Neon Space last week on the stream. I had first said that I don't think NFTs are going to be the thing to get us like where we need to go. And then I changed my wording because anything can be the catalyst, right? It could be NFTs.
That's true.
What I meant to say was that if we're not growing enough right now, I don't think that the problem is that our NFT standard is not good enough. I think there are other problems we need to be looking at because our NFT standard is great.
It's good enough to the point that it's not the weakest link in our chain.
Yes, compared to what else is out there, I just don't think. I don't think that's our shortcoming right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Personally, I don't know. I have no idea how marketing all that works, and I have no idea what the correlation between powerful technology and adoption is. And I'm pretty sure the correlation is very weak.
Yes.
At least based on what I've seen. So,
well, just look at what Base is doing. Base is probably the hottest thing in the space right now. They've made a clear distinction, right? Because both us and Base, or both Wax people and Base, are going after like their claim to fame is that they're going to get the average user here, right? We don't want to target the blockchain people. Here's the difference, though, right? The difference is that Base understands who their customer is. Their customer is every single person on planet Earth, and the product that they're selling them is, I want to get rich. How do I buy crypto? That's the difference. On Wax, what we have is people who are trying to sell blockchain shit to people who hate blockchain. It's not the same thing. And on top of that, our UX for even signing up here is a lot worse. We need to, what my point is that we need to acknowledge and stop hiding from the fact that everybody on the planet, I'm using a blanket statement. I know there's a few people who don't, but to use a blanket statement, everybody on the planet wants to make money. Once people on Wax would like to acknowledge that and then cater to it, we will see more success. And it doesn't mean you have to be a scammer to do that, by the way. Base isn't scamming people when grandma opens up her Coinbase wallet app and scans her face and has a wallet and buys Bitcoin. She's not getting scammed. She heard it was going up. She wants to buy some. They made it as simple as possible. We need that type of thought process and UX on Wax.
Absolutely. I'm sorry, when you said grandma scanning your face, I just had like a mental image of like like scanning grandma's face.
But that's the thing, though. Like I use grandma as the example because literally, like, they're making it just, I don't know, Sonny, how do I turn this thing on? It's shut off, and then it's just like, oh, look, just open it and press the power button and snap. Now you have a smart wallet. Click button.
I'm just thinking about like, well, that's the incentive of almost every single blockchain. There's like a couple where it's like maybe it's a bit more specialized. I guess Base is a bit different. But it's like, well, for Bitcoin, it's like, well, it's a store of value. That's why you want it at all. For Monero, it's a privacy coin. If you absolutely must have the privacy, it's like, well, that's why you'd have it at all. There's a lot of tokens, there's a lot of chains for different, kind of like more specialized purposes. But the the fundamental underlying value in all of it is that it is a potential investment. It can make you rich,
Absolutely. And on top of that, the coins that you mentioned specifically are legacy dominant coins that had an ability to gain a foothold in the space before other competitors came along. There are other privacy coins, but like, I mean, Bitcoin is
not as competitive.
You talk about Bitcoin, ETH, Monero, Litecoin, stuff like that. It's like those are their own category where like it's everything else is different.
Well, I mean, most of the smart contracts and what am I saying? Most of the blockchains that you see deployed today are smart contract enabled blockchains. That's like the primary functionality of it. It's trying to just be the next like payment, like a next gen payment processor, you know, which is fair. It is like the one thing that's kind of like, yeah, it's not fully established yet. There actually isn't like a clear winner here yet, you know.
Yeah.
Difficult to stand out.
And smart contracts are what enable all of the innovation that we see happening in the space. But the
Absolutely.
reason we don't see that happening on Wax is because the UX for it, it's one of the reasons is the UX. And another,
Okay. Sorry. Go ahead. Sorry.
The UX in general, and also the fact that, like I said, the few people we have here, like nobody wants to acknowledge basic human behavior. Like people want to make money. Why can't we acknowledge that? It doesn't mean you have to scam. Again, I don't want to put that impression out there. Like I'm not saying let's hype up meme coins all day. I'm saying build innovative, legitimate use cases that have the potential to actually make money, and you will attract people here. And then all our other stuff that's in the ecosystem will get more exposure, and people will find out about it, and people will see the NFT stuff and be like, oh, let me test that out. But it's not what's getting them to bridge over from a base or Ethereum or Solana.
Mm-hmm.
They're coming here for the money first.
Yeah. Or we have a revolutionary product. Those are the two reasons why anyone would go to any blockchain. There's a lot of financial opportunities, or there's a revolutionary product that could lead to financial opportunities.
Absolutely. But who builds that on the limited capital that we have out there? The incentives for guilds are, like I'm not going to complain with my income. I'm happy, but
no, I hear what you're saying. We have low innovation per capita. Well, we just have low capita in general. We just don't have a lot of developers. Don't have a lot of users. We gotta bear it. We gotta bear it. The thing that I want to say before you're making your points was that if Wax right now had a $2 billion market cap, it would solve all of its problems. Literally every single concern that everyone has.
I agree with you 100%. And on top of that, part of that $2 billion market cap would include the fact that all the block producers who are incentivized to build products and add value would be getting more money to be able to hire teams.
Yeah.
And if they try to be cheap asses and skimp out and not hire teams, you're now at the point
to be more competitive, and they would fight for those points. Yeah,
because they wouldn't be competing for 12,000 minus expenses, which ends up being nothing after taxes. Mm-hmm. They'd be competing for, let's say, $30,000 a month or something, and then all of a sudden, now it's attractive. Now you better step your game up, or somebody's going to come and wipe you out and build something better, which is good for everybody, by the way. We should want that. Even as BPs, we should want to get outranked because it means that our tokens are going up in value.
And everyone is really applying themselves like to their full capacity. It's worth it for them to do so. You can't expect people to go in full force for nothing. So yeah, if like the moment Wax gets to the top 50 spot, if it ever does, it would quite literally solve all of the problems, all of the concerns that Wax has.
Even consistently breaking past 8 cents. It's not even 8 cents at this point in terms of the threshold where block producer pay would go up.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's like 7.3 or 7.4 cents or something right now.
Mm-hmm.
Getting over that, there would be less inflation because there's not even inflation. There's just a treasury fund. Mm-hmm. When block producer pay is under a certain amount of USD, we get extra to put us at that amount of USD. The threshold for that is like 7.4 cents or something last time I checked. If we got over that and stayed there, that treasury fund would stay getting filled up with more and more every month rather than getting emptied. And as the price goes even higher than that, we actually get less wax. So inflation would be less, depending what they do with the, extra tokens. Basically what I'm saying is there's a threshold, and if we were to go past that, instead of a spiral downwards, because not only inflation but also extra tokens being given to us, we'd see the reverse effect, going up and getting less tokens, putting more demand on everything, basically, or less supply would be more accurate.
Absolutely. It just compounds. Everything would just compound. It would just be so much better. So we just got to find a way. We got to get those Bs. We got to get 2 Bs.
Could be nice with more dev resources and ways to see examples for how to integrate WharfKit and such. Yeah, we don't have the best documentation on Wax, especially anything that links to EOS stuff. I did create a smart contract development guide that's kind of just an ongoing work in progress. It's not that great, but I could link that if you want. But yeah, if you go to other blockchains and you just like look at their website, and it's immediately you land there and it's like, build, here's the resources you need. You want to build like this, you want to build like this, here's how you build, here's what you build with, here's why you should build, here's the grant program that's very well structured, here's the things that we're looking for that need to be built here, here's how much we're willing to offer, here's the requirements we have. Like, we don't have anything like that. They did just upgrade the website and it's more focused on build on Wax, so I'm very happy to see that. But we have a long way to go in terms of developer resources. I agree.
Yeah, absolutely.
Include Null says he has a plan for docs.
Plan for docs? What is he planning? He's scheming.
Oh, he's planning to stop working on Wax items and start focusing on docs, huh?
Sounds like it.
This guy, man. We need Wax items, all right? Let's finish it up. No, docs would be nice though. Yeah, we could probably wrap it up soon, right? We're getting pretty close.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. I gotta get some food in me. I gotta get some of these tech reviews out of the way as well.
I didn't even sleep last night, so yeah, I could.
Holy smokes, dude. Yeah, I get some G's.
All right, man. T-Break, it was really nice having you on. Like to have you on again sometime, so reach out anytime you want to. Thank all you guys for joining, and I'll see you next week. I'm gonna have Ross from Eosphere Guild on this Saturday or Sunday. I don't remember, but I'll post about it. All right, thanks, guys. Later.
Thanks for having me here, Mike. Great time.
Anytime, man.